right. Everything should be updated as it needs to be. I think I
already clicked live.
Checked all the boxes, so we should be.
I clicked live, so then I'll just go and edit everything.
When you click live, does it tell you to change the title?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. I mean, the title's already set on everything else.
Right.
But I just wanted to make sure it didn't, like, default to something else. But, yeah, it should be fine.
Okay. And podcast, talk show, YouTube doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. So now we check this one, because they're always assholes.
I had to manually update those.
Yeah, this is the one you always have to manually update, because for some reason Twitch doesn't want to get the update that it should send out to everybody else.
Yeah, it should have.
In your wine glass, but only half a glass of wine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How's that going to last?
James.
I know.
Did you get a bloody nose?
Yes. That's on me.
Oh, Lord.
Hi, Bob. You not feeling too good,
Yeah, it looks like it updated our Twitter just fine, so.
Okay, that's good. Updated the Twitter and the Discords and all that?
Yeah.
Did I put you on? Yes, I did.
Wait, why is this new? Or do we always have a tiny hand to go with big hand?
We just got the tiny hand, I think.
Okay.
I got the tiny hand a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's he for?
Just
put it on your finger.
Just another thing?
It's just a...
But here's the other thing.
It's
one more little thing. One more little thing.
We got the hand when we got the poop.
We really should have just renamed our podcast to Here's the Thing.
Here's the thing.
It sounds like we...
We would have to, like,
We'd have to do a fan show about Addams Family.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
We thought it would be like
but-
an NPR show.
Right, so not only would the podcast be about the Addams Family, but every section would be introduced by a different actor who's played Ben Grimm just to fuck with people. Like, why is Michael Chiklis doing their intro? What is happening?
Hey, Brooklyn. Welcome to us actually almost starting on time.
Yeah, how about that?
That's amazing. All right. All right. Ready for our audio test?
Almost.
Ooh. Thank you, phone, for reminding me to shut you up. It's quite helpful of you.
God, the news was so light this week.
Yeah. I mean, last week there was a lot, but
Yeah.
today there was, like, nothing.
Yeah. Just going over the stuff from last week, it was like, there's some good stuff to talk about. A lot of it's...
It's mostly just like, hey, this weird movie's coming out.
Right.
About that.
Yeah. Like, La Lorna did okay at the box office, I guess. Like, yay.
I hear it's just not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be somewhat tied into the Conjuring universe somehow, from what I understand.
I could
James
see
Wan
that.
directed it, so that makes sense. I don't think it's supposed to be a direct, like, part of the Conjuring universe, but there's some kind of weaving thread through all of it.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? We're ready to get this thing on the road.
Howdy.
We're going to be talking about a lot of Marvel stuff today.
Yep,
So at
it's
the
Marvel Day.
very end of it, if you have any like favorite movie moments, favorite characters, actors, anything from the movies that you love, save them for the end, and we'll
be talking about the Marvel stuffs.
Yeah, and we'll just go ahead and read your stuff on air.
If you're wary about getting any spoilers, you've had 10 fucking years.
Right. Yeah, we will preface the last segment with, and we're going to talk spoilers. Except
like all the way through. I mean, Captain Marvel at this point, right?
Yeah, we can spoil Captain Marvel.
If it doesn't start with Endgame, we're going to be able to talk about it.
Like, one of my coworkers, she was like, "Have you read any like the in-game spoiler stuff that's coming?" I was like,
Lord,
I haven't even seen a fucking trailer. Okay?
I'm mad at you for saying the word Endgame spoiler to me right now.
Right, I'm actually physically offended.
I'm a little triggered. I'm about to throw something at you.
That's how I felt when she asked me. I was like, "The fuck you!"
You just looked at her like she kicked your dog or something.
Yeah, and I told her, I was like, "Look, I don't watch most trailers for things. Like Marvel is all they have to do is literally their budget should be zero
for advertising. They should just do Tesla. Like, we just release it and people
Yeah, we just
watch
release
it.
it and people just go.
I completely agree. How is Mortal Kombat, by the way, Brooklyn? And
I hear
we can
good things.
Yeah, we can do our audio test.
Yeah, we're doing our
Oh, yeah.
test while,
Alright, cool.
while we're waiting on him to typey.
Typey
Yeah, that's
type.
cool.
He's gonna typey type.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. MK11 does look pretty fun. I gotta
This is
say.
where we check to
does.
see if the cats touched anything.
Of course
No,
it is,
they
because they
prob-
always touch everything.
Because
all the
cats
time.
touch things.
Spoilers: cats touch things.
Don't ruin the entirety of fucking Captain Marvel. Cats touch things.
We got extra flurkins around the house now.
Ah, hell
I've
yeah.
completed Aaron's collection of goose flurkins. There was like one special edition flocked one or something that I got her. So she now
Nice.
has 4 flurkin Funko Pops.
See, that's where I just would use the line "spoiler cats touch things" on
Yeah.
this week's episode.
Yeah.
So an idea for changing the intro, the beginning of the show, just every now and then, making a mental note anytime somebody says something that's just it's very funny. Like one line has an out of context will be like really just like, what the fuck is
So
that?
it'll be like this week on the show, and it'll
Right.
And
just
I'll
be,
put that in there, and people are like, "What the fuck are you?"
Fuck did you say?
all right.
But not like all the time, but like sometimes.
3 hours
Oh,
of
yeah.
cutscenes. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Super excited. Mortal Kombat looks good, man. I'm normally. I
It only
haven't,
took them like 11 years to maybe make a good story.
yeah.
Well, they had a couple other
They
good
made
stories.
Injustice.
King of the what? Iron Fist? No, that's Tekken.
Yeah.
Well, what's their tournament called? Just Mortal Kombat.
It's just called Mortal Kombat.
That's
yeah.
just. I thought there was like they.
No, it doesn't.
There was a
have
thing
that.
they called what everyone was going
No,
to.
that's what it's
No.
called. It's just
I haven't
the
seen the
Mortal
first
Kombat.
movie in a long time.
It's just called the Mortal Kombat tournament.
Yeah, it's just the Mortal Kombat.
So people just show up and fight.
Yep.
Well, you have to be invited to go fight for the
Invited to what?
to the combat to the fight.
You have to
thing.
be invited to the Mortal Kombat tournament.
Yeah, it is a
Okay.
tournament.
That's how it works.
All right.
And then the
That's all I
second
want to
one-
know. I'm
the
just looking
second
for a
one
proper
had
name.
Underground run balls for some reason. I still can't remember why those were there, but that was the thing in the second movie.
All right, let's do this thing.
Like, there's no underground run balls in any of the games. Why the fuck are they in that second movie? I don't know. It's very confusing to me.
0.25 Hideos. Yep, that's about
Point
right.
0.25 Hideo opening cutscenes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
The
that's
math
like-
checks out on that one.
Yeah. Pretty sure there were loading screens in Metal Gear Solid 4 longer than 3 hours.
Probably.
The technology was very old, though. I mean, it was new at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, ready to do this?
Let's do it.
We need to put in things. They've got 2 lights out now. We need to put in a thingy.
We're finally in the end game. Adventurers, assemble.
Really loud on that one.
Yeah, well, these things happen.
Like, that was pretty loud.
I was very excited about
yeah,
it.
you were much excited. Very
Yeah.
wow.
I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time. Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the show. We are the Surly Nerd, your one-stop shop for geek news that might have flown under your radar over the last week. I'm your host, James, and sitting across from me is the producer of this fine show, Tony.
Howdy ho.
And with us, as always, our third chair host, Hector.
Howdy.
If you're new to our show, hey, welcome. This week's Boss Room, we're going to be discussing 11 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But before that, we have the weekly raid, a recap of all the nerd news that's fit to rant about for your ears. Don't forget that you can keep connected with us through thesurlynerd.com. You can follow us on all social media platforms and even donate to the show. Every penny donated goes right back into the show that we make for you every week. With all of that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, adventurers of all ages, it's time for The Prelude.
Prelude.
All right, this is the prelude. This is what we've been doing with ourselves this week, what we've been playing, what we've been watching, what has been occupying our free time. Hector, why don't we start off with you this week?
Sure, yeah. Let's see. I watched a movie yesterday while waiting for Game of Thrones to come out called High Life.
Okay.
It's a sci-fi movie that, by what I saw in the trailers, looked like a kind of like slow, like soft psychological horror, like the the insanity of being alone on a
Like
spaceship
Solaris
sort of thing.
was?
Yeah. It was not that at all.
Yeah, it was like
This
10 times
was
worse.
the fucking weirdest. Like
I
this
was
is-
wanting the trailer, so I wanted to see this. I wanted to drink High Life while watching High Life.
This
That was my
is-
plan.
This is okay, and coming from a guy who like literally a few months ago took a date to a Gaspar Noé movie. Like I love weird movies. Like, and this was I don't even know. At the end, I was disturbed and a little upset, and it was just
And you can't
over.
really seem to describe the movie at all.
Okay, so like describing the plot is meaningless because the plot has nothing to do with the movie. But in this movie, your main character Robert Pattinson, the vampire from Twilight,
Right.
Yeah, the one of them, the sparkly one,
Right.
So
Literally all sparkly.
yeah, you know what I mean though, the main sparkly one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's on a spaceship and there's a bunch of other people and they're headed right towards the event horizon of a black hole. That's their deal. Looking to study it. It's like an 8-year journey. There's very little ever that has to do with Earth except for like one 2-minute snippet of like a small explanation of what's going on, and then we're right back on the ship.
Okay.
And all of the people on the ship, including Pattinson, are ex-cons. They're actual cons. This is part of like a prison program. It's
Okay.
either be put to death on Earth or be shipped into the black hole for science. And
You know, like you do.
yeah,
Society's
and so,
moved a very long
Wow,
way.
yeah.
and so far it's like, well, I don't know. That sounds pretty cool and
We
sci-fi.
ran out of room in Australia.
You-
It's only the black hole for you now.
Yeah, it's like, can we get more like, I mean, the show sounds pretty good so far. Yeah, okay. So as soon as we're all settled and on this cube ship heading straight into a black hole, everything gets really hypersexual. It kind of explores when it's okay to like sexually experiment on people. There's just so much weird shit constantly going on.
Right.
To the point where like there are massive time jumps because it's a long journey, and you start to get really confused about when you are.
Okay.
Yeah, and
It sounds like this movie tries everything possible to confuse you as the audience.
Yes, and disturb you quite a bit. There's a. Everyone remember Burn After Reading, the Coen Brothers movie? Yeah, okay. You know the chair, yeah, with the giant dildo strapped on it.
Yeah.
There's one of those in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that comes up.
So to speak.
There's a very long, overly long scene of someone putting a condom on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just part of the movie.
Safe
It
sex
does,
is important in
it does
space.
not take long to put a condom on people.
It was longer than it takes a normal person to put a normal condom on a normal penis.
Yeah.
It was a long take. So, but what I'm saying is, don't go into this movie expecting what I expected. Go in expecting it to be weird. You will not be disappointed.
Okay. Anything else you did this week?
Let's see. Since I missed last week too, I feel like I watched a bunch of stuff, but it was mostly just catching up on shows.
Okay.
Other than that, no, I'm good. That was like the highlight of my year.
That's
Like,
highlight of my
I watched
episode,
Game of
apparently.
Thrones after that and was like, yeah, that was pretty good, but High Life. Let me talk to you about this.
Let me talk to
fucking
you
shit.
putting a condom on a dildo for 3.5 minutes.
Exactly.
All right, Tony, what about you? What did you do this week?
I rewatched a bit of Big Mouth because that show is just fucking funny.
I cannot
Right,
stand
that's a
that show.
Netflix
Really?
show.
I think I get the appeal, but personally, I can't stand that show.
Yeah,
net-
it's
so
a
net-
Netflix series
animated show.
done by Nick Kroll and like Nick Kroll and all of his fucking friends.
Right.
I've discovered it. I talked about it before back when I first watched it, but they've had 2 seasons and a Valentine's, specifically Valentine's episode since
Got it.
then. And I was just like bored and I was like, fuck it, I want to rewatch the show because it's really funny because
Yeah.
I wanted to hear Nick Kroll as the character Coach Steve, who's a older man who has who's mentally deficient, who's their coach, and he says horribly weird things, and I just think he's hilarious. Like how he wants to make thicken a lady, and
That's special.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
watch anything new this week, or was it just reruns of old stuff?
rewatching that. I went camping, so that ate up like 3 of my days.
Sure it did.
Yeah, no, so that ate it. Like I just was like, well, I know I'm not doing anything aside from coming home and watching Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Which we did.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the Destiny 2 spring event. It's been fun. It's basically just a pretty shiny, flowery version of the Halloween event.
Gotcha.
It's really very similar.
It's an MMO event, you know.
Yeah, it's an MMO event. They've made everything have flowers and springtime stuff, and it's interesting. But it's going to last for 3 weeks, which is a little overkill for like what it actually is.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember. A lot of it's just been watching shows that I've been enjoying. Billions is back on the air.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's fucking wonderful,
Yeah.
as it always is.
As good as it's ever been.
Yeah, like I need to watch this weekend's episode when the show's over. That's like my Monday thing after the show. I go watch Billions. 'Cause it makes me happy.
Yeah.
The Rookie's about to wrap up. I've been enjoying that Nathan Fillion series. It's reaching the end of this first season. I
thought
believe.
you don't like police procedural shows.
I like Nathan Fillion.
Okay.
Yeah, I
can
forgive
see
a
that.
lot for Nathan Fillion. I watched like a couple seasons of Castle for him.
Yeah, I watched all of Castle pretty much because
Yeah,
Nathan Fillion was in it.
I
so
watched
like
Castle. I don't like procedurals, but I
Yeah.
like Nathan Fillion. It was
Yeah.
There's this weird kind of like fan headcanon thing that exists for a lot of people. Is that Nathan Fillion's character in everything is all part of one same character, and these are all the multiple lives that he's lived.
It's like some quantum leap
And this
shit.
is only
pretty great.
because he voices Cade Six in Destiny, who we know has had
God, it
multiple
always comes
lives
back to Destiny.
because he was a human and then a robot who got reset. So all of these could be part of his past.
Right.
You don't know. You don't know about his space cowboy days.
The multiverse Nathan Fillion theory.
Yeah,
Yes.
I dig it. I like that. Another show that I want to mention that is out at the same time right now that's good watching is American Gods. The second season is
Oh,
out
I haven't
right
started
now.
the second season yet.
Yeah.
I haven't
it's
started the second season.
good.
I've been waiting on. I was actually we talked about it in the household. Well, how we were thinking about just waiting until it was entirely wrapped up. Ordering the Showtime Now or Go or the fuck they call
Oh, yeah,
it
and then just-
for like a week.
Yeah.
and we all just binge it for that week and then cancel the subscription.
Yeah.
because we don't have it.
What
right-
else is
yeah.
on Showtime?
Yeah, exactly. There is the reason I want to finish watching that is because the guy that plays Mad Sweeney is now going to be Master Chief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
you might remember him from Orange Is the New
How
Black.
do you
Oh,
feel
yeah.
about that casting?
I didn't think Master Chief was a ginger, but all right.
I don't think
You don't know.
Are we gonna? Is he gonna take off his helmet?
I hope not.
Me too. So
yeah,
then,
like I straight
it
up
doesn't
never.
matter.
The thing is, I'm okay if you see him out of his helmet before he has fully changed over through the Spartan program.
Right.
Before he's had all the
So,
injections.
so
and
in your head
modifications.
canon, Master Chief,
But you
like,
can't because he's an
never
adult.
takes his helmet off.
Yeah, no.
Once you're
Like-
in the armor, you're Master Chief.
Like he has to go like take a hot shower, and he's just like got the mask on.
There's
Like,
shower in the
that's what
suit.
we're doing
Yeah.
now.
Just
Is that
shower
how
in the
we're-
suit.
Yeah,
It's all
just
good.
shower in the suit.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
The restaurant toilet, whole
You
deal.
guys
It
have
has
a-
to be able to
you-
breathe and
you-
keep you clean and sanitary. You're wearing that thing. It's armor. It's body armor. You go through fucking war. You got to be able to pee in that thing, like clean your. It has to do everything.
You're talking-
Mjolnir-
you have to understand-
Mjolnir
Very
armor
weird-
is very complicated.
Very weird misconception about how armor
Actually-
works.
You have to understand. You're talking to two guys who have played thousands and thousands of hours of Halo games,
And that's what-
watched personally me hundreds of hours of Red versus Blue, and all of this. Like, there's one constant: is Master Chief does not come
Yeah,
out of the suit.
He does not take his
Period.
helmet off.
Period.
Also,
It doesn't happen.
the history of the armor itself, the Mjolnir armor, is that it was created before the Spartan series was made. The first people that put it on were actually just regular sized guys
Right.
and women, I don't know, army peoples, and it ripped them limb from limb because it was too strong. So they had to modify humans to be able to actually use the armor
Right.
because it was so powerful. And that's where the Spartan program came out of. So they abducted children, made clones of them, gave them back to their parents, and they lived out their actually mentally deficient life because the clones weren't well. Their brains don't fully function. And they took the abducted children and trained them to be in the military from the point where they're like, I think, 5 years old. And once they started, right before they started hitting puberty, modifying their bodies to where, they're 7 feet tall and ginormous. And
I feel like this is a good insert for like the more you know.get.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, for
This
real.
is where-
I know a little bit. I know a little bit about Halo.
Some of the Halo lore gets kind of dark.
Yeah, it is. This is
no,
pretty dark
it's
stuff in there.
like Master Chief straight up was abducted as a child and had experimented on.
Yeah.
like that's his origin story.
So I'm just going to go through my stuff real quick. So I'm rewatching all of the MCU movies right now.
You're pretty far along, aren't you?
In chronological order or release order?
Release order currently.
Okay.
And I'm up to Black Panther.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm going to be. We're doing a.
Yeah, we're doing Infinity War Friday,
Yeah.
and then we're going to see Endgame Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's what I
what's
wasn't
good.
sure if we are doing it all on Saturday or not. By the way, people, that's on the internet. That's what our plans are this weekend. Just so you know.
I
So you
did
know.
start the Netflix show Black Sunday.
Oh, Summer, Black Summer.
Black Summer.
Summer.
Thank you. Yeah, Black Summer.
Great. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. It's not that long, and it was. I feel like it was good the whole time.
Yeah, and I think you already previously talked about it on the show.
I might have.
It's a zombie show. It's weirdly a refreshing zombie show. It's not like more of the same that we've always been getting for years. So I'm really enjoying that. I definitely recommend checking that out. I also started a video game on your recommendation and the recommendation of the world apparently, which is Into the Breach.
Oh yeah.
This is a game series made by the guys who made FTL or Faster Than Light. I could bore you with all the acronyms that you can associate with this game, but for the sake of not glazing over Tony's eyes, it's kaiju chess. Is all it is.
Exactly.
It's basically it's considered a roguelike. It's got roguelike elements, all this stuff, but it is basically at the end of the day kaiju chess, where you get 3 mechs versus an infinite amount of kaiju, and you got to be able to like survive. And it's a lot of fun. Like I've beaten it 3 times now.
Nice.
But I've only been like doing it kind of on the lower difficulty because I want to unlock stuff.
Is it similar? You had me at Robots versus Kaijus because Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it anything like Pacific Rim?
Well, it's
In
done,
like stylization,
it's
maybe.
Like it's like a 16-bit art style. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh, okay.
very,
And it's a top-down like chess. Like it
Yeah.
really is like grid-based. Like you move, then they move, then you move, then they move.
Like more like
style type
RTS kind of thing
yeah.
going on.
You will always see what their moves
Yeah.
are in advance, so you can try and counter their moves.
Oh, okay, I super don't want to play that.
So
Yeah, it can. It's a great way to just like zen out and just play some
man.
games for a while.
Yeah, I lost. I don't know. Like I was originally playing it while trying to binge the Marvel movies, and I realized very quickly I couldn't do it. I was
I
like,
can't do both at the same time.
I was just like, all right, I need to like pick one or the other on
I'm,
this.
I'm just ignoring the shit out of these movies right now.
Right. So, because most of what I did this week involves the MCU movies, we'll be talking about that at the very end of the show during our boss room. But for now, let's go ahead into our news roundup, the weekly raid.
Dishwasher sounds like it's raining in here, like through the headphones. It just sounds like rain. We're right next. Maybe it's raining and there's like a road right next to us. It's like the
Pretty cool.
combination.
A little bit of atmosphere. We can do like a noir style.
No, we're just gonna get really close and whisper. It's me ASMR.
Oh no, I hate that. Stop doing that.
That's what we're gonna do.
It's gross.
See, I can really hear it because the headphones are on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I think about that. The weekly raid.
All right, this is the weekly raid. It's our news roundup for the week. This is such a weird week for news. Like, I'm so happy that we're going to be talking about the MCU at the very end of this because all the big announcements this week have been fucking bizarre.
Yep.
So let's start things off with Capcom. So Capcom makes this huge announcement this week. They say, we're going to jump on this bandwagon of the arcade mini console, but we're going to do you one better, guys. Instead of putting out like an NES Classic or an SNES Classic, we are going to get the most expensive arcade parts on the planet. And we are going to, these are the parts, the components that are basically the most prized amongst fighting game aficionados. My Street Fighter 4 like arcade stick is made of these components.
Okay.
And they're making this, they're taking the Capcom logo, which is the word Capcom.
Yeah.
They're sticking these joysticks and buttons into this thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the cabinet spells out Capcom.
Capcom.
Just to give
So
you
in the most
mental
gaudy
picture.
fashion.
Yeah.
Then they're sticking 16 classic arcade games on there. Some of them are kind of a big deal. They're supposed to have like perfect arcade style emulation. So this would be how you would play it
Right.
in the arcade.
Correct frame rate, correct all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And it's going to be like $260.
See, like Sega was like, we're gonna make ours because they just announced 10 more of the games. I didn't look up the list because I was like, you already had me at Toe Jam and Earl,
Right.
And Sonic and everything else. Like, I'm already gonna get one, and it's like $80. Fine,
Yeah.
don't care. Capcom, I get the hardware is worth that, but like your games aren't.
And that's the thing. And like if
So-
they like
We should just get the list out real quick. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
16
yeah.
games that we've got here is 1944 The Loop Master, Aliens vs. Predator, the beat 'em up.
Yeah.
God, I haven't played that so long.
Armored Warriors, Capcom Sports Club, Captain Commando, Cyberbots, Darkstalkers, fuck yeah, Darkstalkers, Eco Warriors, Final Fight, Ghouls and Ghosts, Giga Wing, Mega Man the Power Battle, which is a pretty big deal.
Power Battle.
Pro Gear, Street Fighter 2, Hyper Fighting, Strider, and Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo.
You had me at Puzzle Fighter.
The last time I
You
played
got me at Puzzle. I love that game.
Do you $260
I
love
don't
Puzzle Fighter?
$260 love Puzzle Fighter.
I'm gonna-
I like $50 going getting a Dreamcast and the game and like 5 controllers for $50.
I think
that's how much I love
yeah,
that.
I think we used to play that on my Saturn, actually.
I have to
Yeah,
date
was it the
myself.
Saturn? It may have been the Saturn.
I have to date myself like 3 times in one sentence and say the last time I played that Alien vs Predator beat 'em up, I was in a Pizza Hut.
Wow. Wow. And so I'm conflicted about this because I do recognize the quality of the joystick and the buttons and the components that are being used. They are not cheapening out on this. They're going as high quality as they can.
That is a quality stick.
And doing this kind of arcade perfect emulation is impressive, especially as I'm a giant Darkstalkers fan, and them getting, them actually porting it the way that it should be ported.
Yeah.
Like since the Saturn, probably. Again, I would say that Mega Man Power Battle is huge, but I look at this as a whole, and I go, for $260, I could probably build my own arcade cabinet that's probably has as good, if not close to that level of emulation. And
here's the thing for me, like the thing that would have just made it a cinch would be to have the 16 games in there. That's fine. But also, let me use the stick for other things.
Yeah, no. If I could hook this into my PC, or if they made it just USB compatible,
just a USB port. Let me plug it into an Xbox, PS4, a Wii if I want. Not a Wii, a Switch if I want to.
Yeah, my
PC.
It's universal fucking serial port.
Right. If this would be your fight stick for playing Street Fighter.
Even if it was dual-sided, it's still worth it. I mean, not everyone wants to carry
the hardware in it is worth that because that's what you use these fucking things for.
Right.
But wasting that equipment on only these 6 games when you could be using it on so many more, it kind of sucks. I mean, I'm pretty sure the moment it comes out, somebody's gonna hack it and make it available
before it comes out.
Yeah. But the fact that Capcom, in their infinite wisdom, didn't see that they should make this a fighting stick that is worth that also has games in it.
If you're gonna put a $200 or $260 price tag on this, maybe more than 16 games.
Yeah, maybe your entire library. I mean, Christ, because as great as these sticks are, when you buy that fight stick carries with you across all games, across consoles. Sometimes.
Right, you can put multiple iterations of Darkstalkers on there, multiple iterations of Street Fighter on there. Like, there's so many classic arcade games that you could really tap into, and make really take advantage of. Freaking chat just said this, like Capcom versus SNK. Like, there's so many titles. Just dump those on there and just
basically every Capcom fighting game ever needs to be on there. And also where I can plug it into my computer or Xbox or whatever and play other fucking games.
And see, that's the thing. Even if they threw the entire Capcom stick-worthy library onto this thing, I'd still feel like it's a giant goddamn shame that I can only play these games with my stick. Because I would really love to play Street Fighter V with this
stick. Alton Brown taught us something very important about cooking utensils, is you don't get single-use items. You don't unitaskers. This is a unitasker, and that sucks.
And an expensive
It's a really expensive unitasker. Right. At least like an Instant Pot, you can do a lot of stuff with it, so it's not an...
So it needs to be the Instant Pot of joysticks.
That one fucking egg cooker that costs $70, that's what this is. It's pointless. Don't do it.
I will be more curious to see what happens in the hacking scene when this comes out.
Well, let's not forget that was it the PlayStation Classic that you could literally just plug in...
You just plug
in a keyboard and hit escape, and there's the
menu.
Yeah.
Okay, and fix it because they are idiots.
And this has been a big week for these kind of these giant releases like this. We've got 16 games coming on in this new Capcom Classic console. The Castlevania Anniversary Collection was announced this week. It's only going to be $20 because it is just classic games all bundled together. They'll be coming out on May 16th. So
what's it coming out for?
Right next to my birthday.
So. You literally just told me what I'm getting you. Like, you just made my life way fucking easier.
PC, PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, $20.
Everything, gotcha.
Yes. And the games that are going to be included are going to be Castlevania, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania Adventure, which is the Game Boy game. Castlevania 2,
I want to play Castlevania Adventure. It's been so long.
Belmont's Revenge, which is the other Game Boy game. Castlevania Bloodlines, my personal favorite Castlevania game.
You don't see that.
That was on the Sega Genesis, and it's going to have Kid Dracula as well.
Kid Dracula,
which is, I believe, the first appearance of Alucard. I want to say, I don't know. It's between that or Castlevania 3. I can't remember. They're using M2 for the emulation, which for those of you not knowledgeable about emulation, M2 is one of the greatest emulation people out there. They try to make it as frame perfect as possible. And there's going to be a bonus ebook with every purchase that includes an interview with Adi Shankar, who did the animated series.
Oh, nice.
So $20.
That's a damn good deal right there.
That's a good set. Yeah, it's really good. Also, Simon's Quest.
You know what? I am an apologist for Simon's Quest.
I think it is the okay. So it's not like Legend of Zelda 2, right? It's not that bad, but there's something about the 2s in this era were just like awful. It was a lot like the Hollywood 2s.
Well, they went, but everybody's experimental.
It was always shipped out to another studio to do the second game, and they were like, we don't have any of the code for the first one, so fuck it, we're making something else.
Simon's Quest was an interesting, decent version of its own game. It just didn't feel like the first one.
the games that we have today in the Castlevania series, the ones that we now associate with Castlevania, the Metroidvania concept, those RPG elements started in Simon's Quest.
Oh yeah.
So,
but I mean, there have yet to go to an RPG modern where I had to like walk across the map and grab a staff and then walk to the other side and kneel in a corner for 5 seconds in order to continue playing the game.
I think the shittiest part of the history of Simon's
and the
Quest,
thing is, the game never told you to do that.
right, well, that's the shittiest part of the whole thing.
This is
when
bad game design.
No, because they went back years later and they interviewed the creators of Castlevania 2, and they said, why don't the townsfolk who were supposed to provide you information provide you the correct information? And their response was, we intentionally made the townsfolk lie to you.
See, that's good and all, and I get that because for me, I love the idea of fucking over the player because it's real funny. But also, you're fucking over the player. They gave you money. At least let them get. There's a level of difficulty in a game design that you want to make your game as difficult as possible, but then you got to dumb it down by like half, because everybody's an idiot, and you can't expect them to figure it out on their own.
Let me say that Nintendo hotline made some big bucks back in the day.
Like at least let it be known that the villagers are lying to you, so you can be like, oh, maybe that other guy said the opposite.
Right? Yeah, the first one you talk to, he's supposed to be this nice little trusty man. He's like, don't trust her, she always lies.
This
And
would
then
be
she
like-
go to her and she's like, don't trust him, he always lies. And you're like, oh, a lot of townspeople are all fucking lying. Now you know, don't trust the fucking townspeople.
Yeah, this should be like if you were playing Mario 64 and the game never ever once had you jump through a painting except one time and never explained that was a thing you should do. It was just like, oh yeah, next level's in the painting. Why? That's not a thing.
All right, so let's move on. I'm liking the energy here. Let's keep this going a little bit. Let's move over to comics for just a hot minute. Tony, you loved the book Saga. You got to read the first trade paperback of
I've
Saga.
got a couple of the trades. I stopped reading it a little while ago, mostly because I just like collecting trades. So
Sure.
I let them pile up, and then
Yeah.
I just have like a month's worth of
Sure,
reading.
and
Don't they
then-
have like
yeah.
trades and compendiums now?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
so-
this is actually for you. So I guess for our audience who may not be familiar, Tony, tell us just a little bit about Saga.
Saga is kind of a space opera, really. It's the story of two people falling in love from two different, I guess, alien races that have been at war with each other, since like forever. And they have a baby. They go on the run because they're both part of the military, and they are constantly hunted down by bounty hunters and the ruling class that wants them dead. And it's just trying to survive and live and
It's like
love
Romeo and
each other.
Juliet extreme, but like
Except for like not 16, dumb and dead in the
Right,
first
right.
day they met each other.
Right.
So
like not that at all.
Saga is an award-winning comic book series.
Oh, yeah.
Brian K. Vaughan and what him and Fiona Staples have been working on in this is an award-winning series, super popular. They've been taking
Literally won all of the awards.
They've been taking their time with the series.
Yeah, they always
obviously.
take a break whenever they wrap up a story arc.
Yeah, which is always 11 issues.
Yeah, they always do the 11-issue story arcs, and then they allow that to all go to a trade. And then once the trade is out, they'll start the next one. So it allows you to buy the trade and immediately get the next issue of that. And it's like it's really damn good planning. It's what we want every fucking time a comic book comes out.
Yeah.
Sabrina, I'm looking at you. Jesus Christ.
You just want more of Sabrina to come out, though.
Yes,
That's different.
indeed.
So we found out this week that Saga Compendium 1 will be collecting all 54 issues so far, and this will mark the series' halfway point.
Oh,
so you
wow.
can now go out, when this comes out, I believe it's going to be coming out in October. You can pick, October 16th, you can pick it up, and it's all of the first half of Saga, and they're on break right now while they kind of get this assembled.
So are we
And-
halfway through?
Yeah, we are officially
Okay.
halfway through. 54 issues is halfway through. And then when they come back from that break, then that's going to launch the second half of the series.
I might have to put that on my list.
I mean, I like this. I haven't seen like what they're gonna do for paper and like binding wise and everything. I really hope they go with something similar to DC's Absolute editions, a really nice, thick, hardbound,
Yeah.
preferably with a cover case.
Yeah,
to carry
like
it
good
around.
paper and
yeah,
all that.
really good, thick. Like my Sandman ones are leather bound, and they did that for all of them. Like the Sandman comics are worth the $100 and something you're paying for it.
Yeah.
It's a leather bound museum edition comic with like this super acid free paper so your oils don't fuck it up or anything. I love whenever they go to that level of detail and caring about a product, and I hope that's what they do for this compendium as well, because it's something that, I mean, if
we know
it's,
that there is going to be a soft cover version of it. We just don't know if there's going to be another
I just
version.
hope there's a hardcover, really nice,
Yeah.
wonderful version of it, because the story deserves it. And also, it'd be wonderful just to have 2 books on a shelf instead of stacks of smaller
Yeah.
books.
Absolutely. Okay, so while we're talking about various comic-related things, I know that we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame, or not Avengers Endgame at the
Yeah.
end. We will be talking about the MCU at the very end of this. But interesting tidbit of news did come out that the Russo brothers, who have worked on many, many of the Marvel properties in the MCU, are apparently working on a documentary about Stan Lee. And we don't know a ton about it. They just kind of came out at the very end, and they're like, look, we know that like Endgame's supposed to be his final cameo. We've been working on some stuff that kind of started off as just like us collecting clips and interesting stuff about Stan Lee, and now it's kind of evolved as a beast. And now we're gonna just make a full length documentary because they think
It sounded like something they were maybe we should do
Yeah.
like a little 20-minute like a send-off thing they'd put like on YouTube or something.
Right.
Right.
And then they realized how much they have, and they're like, well, fuck, we're just gonna
Yeah.
actually make a
We're
documentary.
gonna Mr. Rogers this bitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the
he
Russo,
deserves it.
It's
you
the
know?
Russo brothers, man.
Yeah.
Like they changed the face
Oh,
of
yeah.
like the way that the Marvel movies were,
Mm-hmm.
and for them to come in and decide they want to work on this documentary, I'm calling it right now. I'm just gonna cry for an hour and a half. Guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna turn it on, and it's gonna be like Tony watching Band of Brothers. You're gonna
Yeah.
walk into the room and be like, What's wrong with you?
Why are you chain smoking and have a half a bottle of whiskey and are just bawling your eyes out?
Yeah.
It's not even D-Day yet, Tony. Get it together. It's like episode 1.5.
And keeping down this documentary train, something that will probably warm Hector's heart, as we did find out this week that Sony's announced a God of War documentary.
Yes.
So apparently it's going to be called Raising Kratos. And this was really just stuff that they were filming alongside to kind of put out as they were releasing the newest God of War.
Right.
And the more and more they got into this, they were like, you know what, we could probably just put this out as a documentary series.
It sounds like the exact same thing the Russo brothers
Yeah.
did. Like, we're just
Are
gonna make
they-
a little side project.
So
fuck,
is
it's a
it
whole
based on
documentary
just,
now.
is it just like the production of the new one, or is it going back
So
to covering all
let
the
me
games?
get some of the stuff that they've got here. There was a trailer. They said that there's going to have stuff in it like they're going to have some of the old trailers that like didn't make it. And
Okay.
as far as running time, they haven't actually announced how much the running time is.
Mm-hmm.
They are saying specifically though, this is not a making of doc,
Mm-hmm.
is what they said. This is going to be what they call a collection of developer experiences
Okay.
that shows the amount of kind of relentless time and effort they put into the most recent God of War.
Like
Now,
an evolution
will
of.
Yeah.
Will they talk about the past? Yes, absolutely. But they're going to talk about how the past,
Yeah.
in the terms that this is what informed the future.
Yeah. Now, as the person at the table who played the game, you cannot have this Kratos. You like everyone thought when they saw the trailers and gameplay that it like they just wiped out what Kratos was. They like remade him. It felt like a reboot.
Yeah,
But
see,
it-
that
when you-
was my biggest issue when they first showed it. Because for me, I played the first all the God of Wars,
Yeah.
except for the PSP ones.
Yeah.
and I love them. They were great. The story, whenever you finish when you finish 3,
Yeah.
that story's fucking done.
Oh, yeah.
Which is when they showed God of War. I was like, no, what the fuck is Kratos doing? That story, it wrapped up, put a bow on it, it was sent the fuck away. And this new one is good. I still feel hurt because they still stuck with Kratos.
You
Well,
haven't played
that's the
it.
thing.
You haven't played it, so you
I've
can't.
played part of it. I just don't
The thing-
really care to spend that much time playing it.
It is the way that they bring Kratos into this world that you cannot separate him from his past. It's magnificently written. There's a reason it won Game of the Year. It was it Game of the Year or Best Director?
It won Game of the Year.
It was Game of
Game
the
of the Year
Year at
2
the
years
Game
ago.
Awards for a reason.
Yeah.
And that reason wasn't its amazing graphics or cool gameplay. It was the story.
Yeah,
And that was
absolutely.
everything.
So yeah, this will be an interesting documentary when it goes up. Obviously, everybody here at the table loves documentaries. I know they bore the shit out of some people, but I just love a good documentary.
Oh, hell yeah.
I refuse to watch the Mr. Rogers one still.
Oh, God.
Because
I had
I'm
to
just,
do
I just
that.
want to. I'm just gonna fucking cry. Like
I
I,
had to
know
do
it's
that
all I'm gonna do.
was
Alone
rough.
in my house at like midnight when I knew no one would just show
Bro,
up
I watched that
randomly.
shit
Yeah.
at work. I did not have a good time. I did not have a good time.
That's the dumbest thing you can
I-
do.
I know.
It's just like your keyboard's really wet, James. Are you doing okay over there?
No, I'm not. I'm watching the Mr.
You're
Rogers
either
documentary.
crying or fapping. Like, we don't- maybe you did both. We don't really know.
This has been a
Popping.
really weird year in general. And so when I read the headlines for this next news item this week, I was not at all surprised because I think I'm just numb to weird shit at this point. And
After
that was-
last year, shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's only getting weirder now.
It's only getting weirder. And then I found out that apparently Glenn Danzig of Danzig music fame.
Yeah,
Like-
he's rejoined back with the Misfits a little while ago. They do. They've been doing a couple like small
Wow.
kind of mini tours. They just play like like New York or LA or something. And weirdly, it's the they're actually going to. They're not playing here, but they are going doing this another little small tour of all the original members of the Misfits.
That's awesome.
Which I really want to see, even though I fucking hate Glenn Danzig.
I hate him too, but
He's a short little arrogant prick.
So apparently he's directing a vampire spaghetti western. Just
Okay.
process.
Yeah, no. When I read about this, my immediate thought is still my current thought on this. Okay, that's literally I can't be bothered
apparently
with
It's the
it.
same feeling I had when someone told me Rob Zombie was directing a movie. I was like, all right, it's probably going to be weird.
Well, see, whenever I found out about
But see,
House
Rob
of a Thousand
Zombie,
Corpses,
like-
I saw the trailer and went, "Holy fuck, this looks amazing!"
See, and that's what we need.
yeah, I
Rob-
need a trailer for this, and then I can judge it.
Once
'cause
I know
currently
what
it's
his
just
style is.
okay.
No, Rob Zombie's entire shtick, though, literally, like the name of his band comes from horror movies. He is a man who knows horror, and you know that he's going to bring that element to the table when he
True.
makes a movie.
Just no one knew if he could direct or not. It was the thing.
Danzig is fucking Danzig.
Yeah, no, he Danzigs the fuck out of everything.
I feel like
which
if
means
Dan-
he just takes it a little bit too far to the point where you're like, dude, way on the nose, trying way too hard.
I feel like if Danzig was gonna make a movie, he'd accidentally make the Jack Black video game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what he would do. He would
like
do-
completely by accident.
He would just make
like
Brutal
wrong
Legend.
thing,
Just
but
Make-
that's the
make Brutal
flavor.
Legend.
Yeah.
Really, that is the second time in like 3 days somebody said the Jack Black video game.
Brutal Legend is a
Nobody
hard name to remember.
Nobody remembers Brutal Legend. They just remember Jack Black, that video game with the spike
Yeah,
things.
and that's what the Danzig movies will probably be.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that game, the first
a wonderful game.
the first third of it was wonderful, and then it turned into a fucking
you didn't
weird.
like the RTS
Yeah, then
part?
it turned into an RTS, and was like, oh fuck you! I liked running around smashing shit.
Yeah, you
smashing
can still
shit was the
smash.
fun thing.
Okay,
But
so
you can't beat the game if you
now that
don't
we've
do it.
gotten all of this Danzig shit out of our system, let's get to our last talking point for the news section of our podcast, and that's going to be about the PS5. So Sony kind of came out and started revealing information this week.
Yeah, they were talking
And-
to Wired.
Yeah.
They did a Wired interview explaining kind of what the next architecture
Yeah.
that they're going to be using is going to
And
be.
so I've never wanted to be the kind of show that wants to sit here and talk specs.
Right. Boring.
Because it'll put people to sleep. But I want to talk about the concept of the PS5 because what information we did get out of it is that, of course, it's going to be more powerful than the PS4,
Right.
right? It's going to be the next generation of video game console, but also that aside from backwards compatibility, it's going to be more of the same.
Which has
Now,
actually been completely confirmed, aside from the fact they made a copy or not a copyright, a
patent.
A patent. They sent out a patent. Companies patent shit all the time, and it doesn't come to light.
Oh yeah.
So
There's
the,
a lot of weird
so the,
patents
so the
in video
question
game
that we have
companies.
here is that what we have is just a natural, nice, comfortable evolution of the system. It is going to be stronger, faster, better, and it's going to be backwards compatible so that we can keep our libraries and move them over to the PS5. They haven't said anything about VR support, but we assume it's probably going to be there because they're still kind of backing that horse.
Yeah.
So then we have to ask the question to the panel this week, which E3 is right around the corner.
Yep.
We have the Google Stadia lined up, which is supposed to be a cloud-based
Yeah.
new technology for playing games,
Yeah,
right?
it's
For
we have-
streaming games.
For streaming
games to anything with a screen.
Yeah.
We have the Xbox, which is already talking about going in a similar direction. They've already, I believe, released an Xbox One S that's completely
Yes,
digital.
it's the
Completely
Xbox
discless.
One S all digital edition, which Microsoft naming guys, fucking, we already got Xbone, now you got Xbone Sad. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Xbox One, X1, X1.
That would be better than Xbone Sad. Sad Bone. It's not good. Think about this shit. People are going to squish the letters together and come up with something. It literally says Xbone Sad. It's fucking idiot. It's what the fuck is wrong with you? I love you, Microsoft. Get you're almost as bad as Google at naming shit.
Yeah.
But Google
Almost.
Stadia is worse.
Let's not forget when
So-
Google decided to graduate, they called themselves Alphabet.
I thought this was a really great
Because they
time.
use all the letters.
I thought this was going to be a really great time to kind of do a mini epilogue or
Yeah.
a mini boss room, because I know kind of where both your opinions are on these on this subject.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was say, all right, so PS5 is coming out. We know that it's going to be more of the same but better and faster.
Yeah, because the reason why it's actually news for me that's interesting is because this is the first official announcement of AMD's Zen 3, which is the third generation of the Zen processor. They said they'll be using that, and AMD's been like, well, we haven't officially announced that yet, but you done fucked up and said it, so we already know they're going to be announcing that very soon. They're going to be using that hardware in it, because that's the next version of it. They're already in the PS4 using AMD chip, so is Microsoft, so...
Everyone does.
Sony learned their lesson with the PS3 of switching to a different chip that made it impossible for people to make games for it.
Weird ass hardware.
So sticking with an AMD chip that is a evolution of the last one will work for backwards compatibility. It'll work for developers. It makes things a lot fucking easier. They just happened to state that AMD was making it and they were naming it. And
So what I want to do here is this kind of mini boss room is, like I said, we've got more of the same but better.
Right.
Hector, I want you to take the pro PS5 side about how more of the same is better. Tony, I want you to take the anti side, obviously. And so why don't we start with the positive or the pro side, Hector, and make your argument for why you think more of the same but better and faster is good for the PS5.
Well, it's good for the PS5 because the PS4 is already doing great. I mean, the PS4, when I think about the PS4 right now, I'm like, I'd like more games. When I think about a PS5, I'm like, please don't have, like, weird tentacle arm controllers. Please don't put a screen in the console for some reason. Please don't make the controller a backpack. Don't do anything weird. Everything is going really well in their current system. They could literally just make a fatter PS4 with the exact same controller and better graphics, and I'd be happy. And that's the thing. When I look to Xbox, to, like, what it would take for me to buy an Xbox in the coming generation, it's like, wow me, right? All you have to do is wow me. Show me some great games, and I'll probably be on board. Let's throw that cash down if you're going to do something good this time, especially if it's going to be like pro-consumer. But when I think about the PlayStation 5, I'm like, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, it can be prettier. The games have just kept getting prettier.
They just slapped Bloodborne 2 on the title screen.
Yeah, give me more Bloodborne. Better, faster, but, not necessarily super different. Same with The Last of Us, which we're getting. Same with, throw another Uncharted game, even though you don't have to and you probably shouldn't.
They definitely shouldn't, since everybody that worked on Uncharted no longer works for the
Infamous,
company.
man?
Yeah, more Infamous. I'd be super happy with that. We're going to get Days Gone on Friday, and I'm pretty excited to play it. As long as the reviews don't tell me it's a giant piece of shit, I'll buy it. After I watch Endgame, but I'll buy it and I'll play it, and I'm gonna be happy with it because the exclusives so far on this console have been a winner. So for PS5, all they have to do is keep doing that.
Okay. Tony, what's your anti more of the same argument?
Oh, wait, I got one more thing. So my big takeaway from the article that we're talking about was they said they're switching hard drives to a really fast version of an SSD. And what that did, and remember that the PlayStation 5 will be backwards compatible, is they had Spider-Man load across the map so that it would encounter a loading screen in the Spider-Man game on PlayStation 4. Took a 15-second load time. Did it on the PlayStation 5. It took less than a second. Wow. That's what we're talking about as far as like the jump in at least load times that we know so far. So that sounds great, especially if I can play it.
But I really like those little subway load
Speaking as a person who uses an SSD on my Xbox, it massively cuts down on load times. I can guarantee Microsoft is also doing an SSD for the one that has a hard drive because it's just that it's the technology. It's so much faster and it's so much cheaper now.
Yeah.
It's
cheaper.
Less prone to failure.
It's actually cheaper than making actual hard drives now.
So what is your argument though for not being more or for not being more?
Okay, I'm going to give you the Intel argument. Intel gave us more of the same for processors for years because they had zero competition. Sony doesn't feel like they have any competition, so they are not going to iterate or innovate or make anything new. And then AMD came out with the Zen chip and said, look at how many fucking cores we have. Look at how fucking fast they are. If you want to multitask, this is what you use. You don't. It's not the best for gaming, but if you want to run 17 things and play a game, you're going to have faster frame rates with us. Intel, it took them 2 years to even make something that came close to it, and it's a massive power hog and sucks and costs 3 times as much as AMD's comparable version. It's dumb. It's bad. You're not whenever you're making smaller iterations like this, you're not innovating. When you're not innovating, you're falling behind. And if you're just trying to nickel and dime your customers. That's what Sony's going to be doing. It's going to work out great for them for a while, but somebody, it might not be Microsoft, it might not be Google, it could be Nintendo, will come out with something that will blow them the fuck away. They'll have so many exclusives and so many products that Sony will not have access to that will destroy them, and they will be left in the ground. And that's exactly Intel's stock price has gone down and down while AMD's has been soaring over the past 2 years. NVIDIA has done this exact same thing. NVIDIA has gotten very stagnant. They relied way too much. I know I'm getting way onto the PC thing, but it's the only thing comparable for the hardware.
So you're saying the lack of innovation
kills you.
And
that's just historically in
Right.
society what happens. If you don't innovate, you die.
And that's Sony. And when I saw this article, I was a little surprised because they also said, which we already knew, wasn't coming out in 2019. Duh.
Yeah.
Right?
We said 2020 for this
Right.
entire time.
But they totally, in this sense, and Sony has a really terrible habit of doing this, they've been doing it since the PlayStation 2, is they tip their hand way early and say,
actually,
here's what we're doing, and all we need is for someone else to come along and say, like, oh, well, that's cool. We thought about doing that, but we did this awesome thing instead. All the focus shifts, and suddenly they're the old hat.
Okay, so yeah, that's actually a very good point. Whenever they said that we're going to use the Zen 3 chip, which hasn't been announced yet, but is coming out this summer.
Right.
Whenever they announce it, it comes out like a month later.
Yeah.
That means it's already in production and in packaging right now. They're putting that processor, or a smaller, cheaper version of that processor, into a PS5 2 years from now.
Right.
That will not be fast enough to run PC.
It'll be next year. Be 2020.
2020.
Right.
Yeah, but either way, you know how many other processors will come out during that amount of time?
Oh, yeah, no, of course.
You know how much faster gaming will have evolved in 1 year's time? Them announcing what they're using is blowing their load way too fucking early. All Microsoft has to do is go, cool, our engineers will literally just double whatever the fuck that one is and be better.
All right, so there is one elephant in the room when it comes to the PS5's discussion that we do need to broach. It's something that Tony brought up earlier. Before we jump into it, Tony, I need you to define the term for our audience so they're familiar with it.
This is they spoke a bit about ray tracing, and ray tracing is been around for a very long time, actually like 20, 30 years, but we've just now gotten to the ability to do real-time ray tracing. What that means is whenever the camera looks forward, it's not just, reflections aren't just repeated of what the sky or bottom is, wherever the thing in front of it is, like water on the ground. It actually uses the reflection of the light source to show you what is there on there in real time.
Right. So
that's
kind of
what,
in layman's terms, it creates a more realistic
realistic lighting, shadows, and reflections. Recently, NVIDIA released their RTX cards that have ray tracing cores for real-time ray tracing.
Right.
The most expensive one is the 2080 Ti.
Yeah.
It is between $1,200 and $1,500. It can do real-time ray tracing pretty good.
Yeah.
It tanks your fucking
not
frame rate,
great,
though.
yeah,
It
but
makes
it's
your
pretty
game
good.
look really pretty, but you are not playing a fast game.
No.
Based on console hardware, the PS5 might be able to do ray tracing, meaning it can do the thing that makes it possible, but it will not be able to do real time, meaning it could do its real time version is like 5 frames a second.
Well, let's
it's
not forget,
unplayable.
Let's not forget how with a console you can program around a lot of things. The file that told you how every move in The Last of Us, the first one, because there's all kinds of different weapons in that game, and there's all kinds of different animations for when Joel used them. There was one file that determined how he moved for every different weapon type that he had, and it was 85 kilobytes big. That's the kind of programming you have to do when you're doing consoles and you're fighting for frame rates. So yes, ray tracing is a very architecture heavy thing, but programmed the right way, it could make it livable. At least depending on how it's programmed.
You're not going to make it a solid 30 frames a second.
Depends
Here's
on the game.
the thing is that your argument earlier today with Tony was that you cannot do it at 60 frames per second, and I didn't want to bring up a counter argument then because we would have been fighting in the kitchen before
Yeah, we
the
were
show.
trying in the kitchen and we wouldn't have got anything done.
Was that actually a lot of console players don't feel themselves in a situation where they need to have 60 frames.
Yeah, no, I know actually a couple of my friends,
The Last
they
of Us
prefer
1 was
30.
30, wasn't it?
It takes a specific type of gamer to look side by side at 30 and 60 and not go, I only ever want that.
I have friends
because
actually.
that's me. I only ever want the 60 frames.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
that's the way I feel about it personally. Whenever I play Destiny 2 on PC, I want it running it. My monitor could do 75 frames a second. My game
Yeah.
had better run at 75 frames a second. On console, whenever it's running at 30, I'm like, God, I feel like I'm walking through mud. I have friends that they don't like anything faster than 30. That hurts their head.
Right.
Like they literally get headaches from seeing it. And I'm like, for me, I'm like, no, I need more input faster so I can react faster. And it does actually make you a better gamer.
Yeah.
But I don't expect the next console generation to be pushing for the 60 frames per second because they're going to be fighting over 4K bullshit still.
Yep.
They're going to be fighting over 4K UHD fucking high definition ultra contrast. Name fucking add little taglines to it at the end of fucking time. That's what they're going to fight
They're going to be
over.
working on.
Oh yeah, that's the one I forgot.
They're going to be working
HDR.
on graphical fidelity and not speed
Yeah,
of the surface.
they are.
Right.
And-
And again, it's a personal choice when you program a game. I mean, specific games that came out PlayStation 3 generation. I'm thinking of the one Dante's Inferno ran at 60 frames a second because when they were programming the game, they really thought it was just better that way. It's a choice when you program a game. Even when it comes to like indie games, 8-bit games, Hyper Light Drifter came out at 30 frames a second, and the programmer had to go back and remake it because of the complaints about that.
Yeah, no. Whenever you're designing a game and you want it to be locked at a certain frame rate, and then wanting to people to be like, "I want uncapped," you're like, "I did not code it to be uncapped."
Yeah,
Like,
that's not
that's a
how
whole different bag of ponies.
any of this logic works.
So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and I know that we got very technical about that, and I apologize. We tried to define everything as we go. I think there are arguments pro and con, obviously, why I want to do this mini boss room for why doing more of the same is good, but also at the same time looking to the future and innovating is also very important.
No, like
I will say that I don't think this generation is going to be an innovative one. We already had it with the Switch. Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony are not copying the Switch at all. Google has a pretty good idea if they can make it work well of just having your TV and then having your phone and then having your tablet. It's a great idea. Let's see if it fucking works. But I think this generation as a whole, especially among the big three, we're not going to see a lot of innovation in this generation. We're not going to see a lot of cool gadgets unless VR suddenly becomes popular. I kind of doubt that.
yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to these. I know we're getting a lot more game streaming stuff that we'll be talking about over the next time. We talked about this, I think, last week. I'm not sure it was last week when you weren't here, but I know we talked about it recently. How it's like, we already said Microsoft was working on streaming.
Yeah.
Google said they're on streaming. And my answer to that was Google is going to, in a few years, discover that it's not profitable for them and they're just going to sell it off, at which point Sony buys it. They now have game streaming and they'll have to catch up once again like Xbox Live did. And then eventually it'll be great for everybody because Google will fail at something again. It's every time they fail, everybody else wins. It's great. And I think that's where game streaming is the future.
Tony, we're in
but
Austin. We call those a think tank.
just
I hate that word.
yeah, no.
All right, that's everything we have for our big news segment this week. We're going to take a small break, and when we come back, get hyped. We're going to be going into 11 years of the MCU.
Woo!
And there was much rejoicing.
So
I didn't watch the Gotham trailer. I also don't watch the show Gotham. I think it's dumb.
Wait, it's
if
Gotham the show?
If you're
the
talking
CW
about
show?
the trailer for the last episode of Gotham, no, I have not watched it because I am behind this season.
When you say the last episode, do you mean the last episode?
He becomes Batman in this last episode.
So it's over.
Yes.
Show's over.
The
Show's
show
over.
is over now.
Oh, maybe I'll watch
okay.
it then. Cool.
Yeah, as of like
I don't
this
know,
week.
dude.
it
I
will.
tried those first 3 episodes, and it was
You have to get past the first season.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say
it was
I watched the
fucking
first
awful.
episode and a half of the first season, and I was done.
Have to get past the first season.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys,
that's what everybody said about Parks and Rec, and I still fucking hated
Oh,
that.
God, I love
you
it.
don't have to finish.
And the first
But,
season is good.
So with that in mind, we are about to jump into the Marvel stuff. This is free form, so everybody who's in the chat right now, if you have any like memories of the Marvel Cinematic Universe or things that you love or actors you love or whatever,
Also, thank you for the follow on Mixer. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks,
Thanks.
Wes.
whatever
If you're
your
still around, I'm not sure, but
whatever your
we'll
love or
keep
hopes and
track.
memories or anything of the Marvel Universe, type them into chat. We will definitely be talking about this because if not, it's just us jerking off into a microphone for however
We've
long.
literally been doing it for 306 episodes.
Oh, is that only that many?
Yeah, no, this is episode 306, so I mean, fuck. Episode 300 was, 6 episodes ago.
Yeah, it's true.
I just
I'm assuming you guys did an episode about the original Avengers when it came out.
Yeah.
Well,
Why didn't we go back and listen to those episodes and
gonna
see what
say,
gems
what
of
number
knowledge
is
we
that?
had then?
Because I don't think I was around for Age of Ultron either. No.
I'm not digging through our past. Also, we're doing this right now, so I can't really.
Yeah,
What
what's up,
question
man?
you got? We will patiently wait quietly.
Yeah, we'll wait the
Actually,
30 seconds for you to catch up.
I'll give you a dog.
And here's a dog.
And here's a dog. So I answered to literally everything right now. I was like, you get a dog.
Yeah.
That's the. I can't talk to you right now, so you get a dog.
Yeah. The dog is the please stand by.
Actually, I could make it say that in the text. It's like, please stand by, dog.
All right.
We're waiting for this guy to ask a question.
Sure, no problem. Got my scotch, so I'm good to go.
Beware of attack banana.
Or it's
I
beware of fats ack banana. Fat tack
Game Maker's Toolkit?
Yeah,
No,
it's great. Game Maker's Toolkit. It's a good YouTube series where a guy breaks down like different like ways to make a story more compelling or make a mechanic feel better, stuff like that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Good, great series.
I feel like this is
Good
already stuff
channel.
that I watched like on GDC. So.
Probably. I'm sure I've linked you this guy's videos
Oh,
before.
probably then.
Oh god, I need to pull up our GDC account. There's been some really good fucking Bungie's done some stuff I want to watch.
Apparently, we have access to the GDC vault because you know.
What?
Well, they give away the library. They give away a lot of it for free already, but because we've been attendees in the past,
Because
we permanently get lifetime access to the vault.
Yeah.
Like every GDC that we don't go to, we can still see.
That's awesome.
because
He's Tony.
because we covered GDC
Oh.
2012. Yeah, but yeah, I need to check our credentials. to make sure,
Beware
'cause they have
of
still a lot of
fat
stuff.
fat tack banana. It's fat
Beware
tack.
of attack banana. Reminds me that game about Pedro exists. The one on the skateboard with the Uzis looks like a Deadpool game. It reminds me of Attack Banana for some reason. And also I feel weirdly, vaguely sexually threatened by your name.
All right, guys, we got a lot to cover here, so let's jump into it.
Oh my god, it is steamy over here right now.
You're wearing a...
Wow.
It's summertime.
It's
and
summertime in
you're wearing
Austin, and you're wearing a hoodie.
I'm
so-
fat. I like to hide
You're
it.
wearing a hoodie indoors. Just wear a big shirt. Like layers.
like the
No,
rest of
you.
us.
Yeah.
No, you. That's been my go-to argument.
No, you.
Like somebody sent me some hate mail the other day on Xbox. I was just playing like shit. I was drunk. I was like, my KD was like 0.3. I was doing bad, and they're like, you should never play this. And I just went, no, you. Well, they're like, I'm reporting you for doing this. I was like, no, you. I just responded every time with no, you, and would watch them get angrier and angrier
Yeah.
and angrier. So now the only thing I respond with is no, you.
I was always a fan of So Is Your Face.
That's actually,
Well, I've gotten comms bans for being me sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So I like to be able to still talk to my friends. So I don't like getting comms bans.
yeah. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, a friend of mine just had a comms ban for 2 weeks.
God.
And his next one will be, I think, a month or 2 months, and then after that, it'll be permanent. Yeah, we're slowly unlocking the levels of comms bans for people that talk shit and then get me wrecked.
Now I've really done everything in the game.
Large and flowy. That's the name of my first period.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I changed it up.
That took me a minute.
I don't know where the fuck my Misfits hoodie is anymore. I think it's in the closet.
Can we do the show?
It's really thick though. No, because it keeps fucking
It's
talking.
fine. They can talk. They're going to talk about Marvel stuff in a second.
Alright. Boss fight?
Boss Room.
Boss room? Boss room.
Everyone, raise your glass. We did it.
We did it. We
11
made it, boys.
11 years in the making, and we're finally at Endgame. Last year, before Infinity War, we did a recap of all the Marvel movies so far. We went movie by movie, and we kind of briefly talked about all of them. This week, I wanted to do something different. This week, I wanted to do what we all want to do as fans. Quite literally the thing that started this podcast years ago before we even had a podcast. And that's gush about the MCU films in the way that only fans can.
Yeah, no, specifically, we were sitting out back of a bar, smoking and drinking too much, because we did at the time.
Yeah.
You know, 20s, it's the thing you do. And they just announced Iron Man. And they just announced that...
Like it was just trailer
Yeah,
one.
no, it wasn't even the trailer. They announced, we're making Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr. is playing Tony Stark.
There actually is a picture of this moment, by the way. Yeah.
And it's the two of us talking about this, and how and everybody else just kind of listening around us, and we're like, we should just record this shit. And it took us many years before we actually did that.
Right.
But it was specifically, that's where we kind of got the seed of this idea. And because I was super pro Robert Downey Jr., because I'd seen him in multiple movies.
Oh, yeah.
This was after his like career breakdown,
Right.
And he was doing a lot of weird indie flicks.
Yeah.
Scanner Darkly. And I was like, have you seen
Yeah.
Scanner Darkly? It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I can totally see him playing Tony Stark. And everyone's like, no, he's totally wrong for it. I think
Right.
history has shown
Who the fuck
that I
would you
was
have
really
cast?
fucking right.
That is very true. So we have a bunch of people in our Twitch chat and our Mixer chat and all that good stuff today. All of you chime in at any point. We are going to take all of your comments. We're going to discuss all of them. Here we are to be fans of 11 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I have a couple questions and points, but remember, this is a free-flowing discussion. This isn't we're discussing the news. This is us being allowed to gush over whatever we want. So, I'll start us off with a question, and we'll kind of go from there. When this started 11 years ago, did we have any idea that it would become the creature that it is today?
Honestly, I just wanted Iron Man to be good, because we'd had the Fantastic Four at that point. We'd had X-Men. We'd had some good Batmans.
Yeah.
But we hadn't had... Marvel just had not succeeded
We had
at making...
Blade, but that's a...
Yeah, but Blade doesn't really count. Blade's
It
not
doesn't
really a Marvel movie. It's a separate... It's a vampire It's a vampire action movie that happens to be about a comic book character.
Yeah.
Right.
Marvel hadn't had successful superhero movies, and then this was done by Marvel, so it was very odd.
This was Marvel Studios.
Marvel Studios, but being released by I think Disney at the time was doing it as the releasing agent. Then it was putting a bunch of money into them,
right.
and.
I'm listening to a book currently on this subject,
Yeah.
so I'll report back later.
Yeah, but it was odd because Marvel threw a lot of money into this idea, and we were wary because that could have tanked. If the original Iron Man had failed, Marvel Comics would have gone under.
Yeah.
Is my personal belief. I mean, that's,
No. I mean, when you so in the book that I'm currently listening to, they talk about where Marvel was financially, and of course the early 2000s the late 90s bust.
Yes.
They had a lot to recover from. And that's a topic for a whole nother time. I could really deep
that's a
dive
whole
into.
separate. That's a whole separate boss fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were in dire straits. That things were not going great. They weren't as profitable as they should have been. This was a big risk. Going into this was a giant risk.
High risk, high reward, and
Yeah.
it worked out.
And going with Iron Man as your flagship, right?
I think the reason
Because
why they went with Iron Man was because
everything else was owned by everybody
yeah,
else.
well, everything
Yeah.
else is owned by everybody else. He was a relatively unknown character that they had full rights to, and to his pantheon of villains, and they would be able to have that kind of control. He wasn't known. He didn't have his own cartoons and things that existed.
Except he did.
Well, Spider-Man is the one you think you'd immediately go to, but
Right.
he didn't have the rights to Spider-Man.
Right, but Iron Man did have a cartoon in the 90s.
Okay, yeah, sure. Everybody
It
had
was
a cartoon.
a
in
good,
the
I watched
it
the
was
Marvel
a good
Action Hour.
cartoon. It was a good ass cartoon. I
I
love
never
the Iron
saw
Man
it.
cartoon.
I never saw it.
So
So
I
I
have it on
can't.
VHS in the garage if you want it.
You know this is Texas. Those are melted and gone now.
Probably.
They
We
don't
did-
exist.
So we did have a quick question from the audience. I want to go ahead and bring that up real quick. Asked if the Stan Lee cameo in Endgame has been pre-recorded. It was filmed before his passing.
Yeah,
so.
this was something that before his passing, the Russo brothers and I think Kevin Feige had come out and said, we actually have multiple, because this was whenever he was starting to get ill.
Yeah.
They said, we actually have a lot of different cameos pre-recorded for multiple movies.
Gotcha.
But I think they even have more that they're not going to show for future films, but they're just going to say, all right, Endgame is the last one. We're just
Yeah.
going to stop it there instead of just say, like having it be, whatever movie being his last one. Endgame seems like a logical ending place for his cameos in the films. I have a feeling they're still going to put his picture in places. He's going to be on a wall in
they
graffiti.
do that in Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, I feel like that's what we're going to see him in the future. We're going to see his face or his signature, something like that, in films post this. But he, as the great man, will not be.
Yeah, so obviously this is a franchise that's very near and dear to our hearts. I know, Hector, you didn't really grow up reading comic books the same way that
No,
Tony and
no.
I did. Tony, for us, I mean, it's been a long road. I mean, this is
Yeah.
us as kids reading all of these comics and then getting to see this on the big screen. I kind of keep going back to this time and time again. Those of you who know me personally know that Thanos has always been my favorite villain.
I've known that for years.
I was a kid. We moved around a lot when I was growing up, And the one constant was, I don't even remember where I got it from. I think I bought it from a local comic book shop. It was one of their promotional posters.
Yeah,
It's,
I don't know if they still do that. Well, at least they did, like in the Houston area, the comic book stores would get the promotional posters, and then afterwards they'd roll them up and just sell them for
Yeah.
like, $1 or $5, something like that.
And so I bought an Infinity Gauntlet poster, an original, like it's just the
Coming soon to the
It's like it says like
bookstore.
made like 1993 or something,
Yeah.
on it, or 1991, I think, is what it says on it. And I've never gotten it framed because it's an awkward size, and
It's an awkward size. You pinned the hell out of the corners.
But I still need to get it framed because it's my favorite. But in my life, the one constant moving from house to house was I always had this Infinity Gauntlet poster hanging up in my room. And it's so very important to me, and I was always such a fan of Thanos. And when we got into the MCU and we got to see Thanos on screen for the first time, the thing for me was that while this has always been my favorite villain growing up, I've never thought that they would bring him into a cinematic capacity, because he wasn't a Lex Luthor.
Right.
He wasn't a Doctor Doom.
Well, he's a fucking intergalactic bad guy.
But
And the one time we tried that, which was in fucking the Fantastic Four 2, it was fucking awful.
right, because Thanos as the Mad Titan is a character that plays chess.
Yeah.
Like, he's big and can beat you down,
Yeah.
but really ultimately he's always trying to think 5 steps ahead.
He's not just
Right.
muscles,
And
he's got a brain, ladies.
Yeah.
And I was
Right.
like, there's no way they would ever translate that to the big screen. And getting to see him on screen for the first time, I'm not going to lie, like, there's that 8-year-old part of me that read the Infinity Gauntlet growing up, and I got shaky and nervous, and like I started tearing up a little bit because I was like, oh my God, like one of my favorite characters is going to be on screen.
Yeah.
Please don't fuck this up.
Please don't
Josh
suck.
Josh Brolin did such an amazing job with that character, which is why I have a question for y'all.
Okay.
Do you like Josh Brolin better as Thanos or Cable?
I feel like that's which is a better movie, Pulp Fiction or Forrest Gump?
Yeah,
that's
they're two separate, very separate
very
things.
different things.
But just his performance as that character, I mean,
Thanos, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Cable was cute and all, but the whole thing was very tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Like, Thanos, like, there was never a moment where I was there was never a moment watching that movie where I was like, man, Josh Brolin is killing it. The whole time I was just like, fucking Thanos is just eating
he encompassed
living in my mind
the character
rent-free
of
right
Thanos
now.
so well. I feel like he also did the exact same thing for Cable, but Cable's meant to be sillier, so he can't give us
Right.
that kind of
We've got the
gravitas.
studio audience saying they still want Thanos to get a love interest in death so that Deadpool can make fun of him.
Yes, like I'm still mad about this. Like, why?
One
why,
day, guys.
Like, I really want the end. Like, I need the end. Deadpool to show up at the fucking end of this movie. Like, I fucking need it.
Okay, so Hector, you recently saw a piece on the MCU films as military propaganda.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
That was really interesting to me. A series of YouTube videos came out today called One Marvelous Scene, where a bunch of different film essayists on YouTube decided what their favorite scene in all of the MCU was and just did a little piece on it. And one of them, instead of picking his favorite movie or favorite scene from a favorite movie, decided to break down all of the times where the army, starting with the first Captain America movie, was put in a sense like at the forefront and as something to aspire to. And it wasn't in any way like nefarious or propaganda in the negative sense. It was more of just like celebrating the military. And a really good example he used to bring this home was at the Oscars when Black Panther was winning awards, the CIA was live tweeting. And the CIA was live tweeting, fact-checking things about vibranium. There's a reason for this.
Okay.
As we all know, Black Panther is a movie about the white guy who ends up in Wakanda after getting put out and he's asleep. And then, he wakes up and like some people rescue him and he flies a fighter jet. Movie's over. I think he installs a king or something. That's Black Panther. You all know who I'm talking about.
Totally not. Yeah,
No, not at all. The whole point of that movie is Martin Freeman's character in the movie was a CIA agent.
Yeah.
And they consulted with the CIA on his character, and the CIA was happy to oblige and happy to show a CIA agent in this kind of light. It's just good advertising, basically.
Right.
And they helped with a lot of, like what he would be, what he would know, what his training would be, his demeanor, like would he act like he's in the military or would he act like
it's like exactly
bureaucrat
this
kind
scene
of.
whenever Martin Freeman is saying, no, he's coming with us. You can't have him. You can't take him to Wakanda. I'm in the CIA.
Right.
Like, there's a reason he was portraying that character is exactly he would be like, no, we're in charge. Shut the fuck up. We're doing it our way. You have to do it.
Right. So the CIA was super into
exactly
that.
what the CIA would do.
Let's go all. Now we can come farther forward all the way to Captain Marvel. Apparently, the Air Force had a huge part in but letting all that take place on bases and getting real planes in
There's
those
a reason
shots.
there's that dedication is in the credits if you look for it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's all because Carol, the character of Carol Danvers was an Air Force pilot, or I forget if she was a pilot.
She was an
originally.
Air Force pilot, and then she went to go do experimental planes for a company that would make planes.
Right,
for
because in the movie she can't be a pilot, and that's why she's doing the experimental plane stuff.
Yeah, she's working for their Lockheed Martin.
Can't be a pilot in the Air Force if you're a woman at that time, which is historically accurate. But anyway, there was a lot of Air Force compromise there too. If you go back and watch the original Captain America, you see him become his whole dancing monkey persona, where he's punching out Hitler and leading soldiers on the way. And later in the movie,
propaganda piece,
right? But later in the movie, you see these things actually happening to him leading a huge group of soldiers out of danger and into the loving arms of an army base. And it's all a little hoorah, isn't it?
It is.
And the whole point was just making explaining to you something that you may have missed in all of these movies is there really is a pro, I guess, America sentiment.
There is a pro-America
things.
sentiment in it, and I think the reason why it was kind of, I guess, people were amazed whenever they saw that because they didn't realize it was happening because they did a really good job at hiding it.
It was very well.
It's anytime you use basically explosives or tanks or planes, you have to go through the U.S. military. Michael Bay is the one who's most notorious for doing this.
Right.
He makes the most pro-America movies possible and he works directly with the U.S. government to make these movies, to have actual soldiers in them, to use their equipment, to use their helicopters, then makes that weird, stupid panning shot that he always fucking does. But we know those films feel like pro-America pieces because it's just on the nose about it.
Right.
The Marvel films have been more sly in their usage of this because if you want to use a tank, Marvel's got Marvel money, but they don't have buying tank money.
Yeah, no, governments have that money.
Governments have that money.
Yeah.
You want a F-21?
Okay, maybe like an Iron Man 1. They didn't have tank money.
Well,
I'm saying by Captain Marvel, they had tank money.
And just to drive the point home further, let's not forget that the beginning of Iron Man starts with him in
he's
riding
riding in a Humvee.
Yeah. And demonstrating cool new weapons. It was the whole thing.
And so the idea of Marvel movies being a pro-America, pro-military piece goes just historically with filmmaking and storytelling within the America.
And comic book history.
Yeah, and
well,
comic book
right?
history as well.
The history of Hollywood is completely based around those kind of things.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's
I don't want us to devolve into that too much.
Yeah.
Let's gotta keep the
not surprising.
We
saw it.
It was just I thought it was an interesting way to view the movies.
Yeah. And so, what was the name of this YouTube series so people can go check that out?
One Marvelous Scene, and it's about 15 different channels, but there's one playlist online. If you're looking for one, the guy from Just Right did one. The guy from Brown Table did one. The people, the girls from Screen Prism did one. There's a bunch of them. There's more that I got new subscriptions today when I was going through that playlist.
Okay. Nice. These are some. I know some of them. I don't know some of the others, so I'm probably gonna go check that out because I like the deconstruction of story as a personal thing. So this is
I've
right
been
up my
watching
alley.
deconstruction of Game of Thrones videos all week.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I'm not watching Marvel movies, I'm watching deconstruction of Game of Thrones.
I'm just gonna get you on the people who do the deconstruction of the books. And then that's where it starts. You can start going crazy.
Not after that Dune video. I slept through it. Okay, so
I like my Dune explanation
back
videos.
to the MCU. Simple question, maybe complex answer. What the hell keeps these movies going so strong?
Diversity.
Well, I hate to be that guy and say a lot of things, but I mean, it really is a lot of things.
Tell me all of the things.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. keeps this going, and that's. I'm making a point here. There's a face that we've all associated and loved with people. Kevin Feige obviously keeps this going. A commitment to a minimum level of quality keeps this going. I remember stories right before Thor 2 was coming out. They were seeing cuts and they were seeing dailies and they were like, "This sucks, guys. This isn't even like the Hulk, like Ang Lee's Hulk good." And they flew Whedon in and was like, "Please help." And apparently they flew him in with a helicopter full
And he
of
was
money.
like, I did the best I can?
Yeah, and he was like, I did the best I could. I punched it up a little bit, and hopefully it's better than when I got here. That like there's a minimum level of quality that you can expect out of pretty much all of these movies, even the ones that we might consider a little tertiary or throwaway. Ant-Man and the Wasp comes to mind right now. I mean, there's obviously...
I want to bring something up that chat's giving us. Zax is talking in chat right now, and he's saying that the solid delivery of story, they can be taken as a one-hitter quitter or a series if you want.
Right.
And I feel like that's something very important about these movies, is that every movie is allowed to be its own movie. And then kind of the things at the end, the after credits, are the things, for a long time, the ties that bind, right? Until we got the Marvel magic, the Marvel formula down, Iron Man was Iron Man. They just chunked a little bit at the end.
Right.
Captain America was a Captain America movie. It's fine. You and I were talking in the car, I think, last week when we were going out to lunch. I said, Thor was a movie that they were like, okay, we're taking a risk on this because Thor's kind of a not... He's a famous character, but he's not... How does he translate to the screen?
He's not grounded, and
we'll make a movie.
How do you make a story that the story is about being a god, and relatable?
So we'll make a Thor movie, and if it doesn't work out, then we can scrap Thor out. It was a movie that we made, but we're not going to have to tie it in every single movie beat to everything else.
Before you go too far down this tangent, one of them said something, and it's a whole point that I was going to make later, and now's a good time. Someone said great casting, and there's a hidden character in all of the MCU that really is holding it all together and helping us get 22 movies in 11 years and still be this excited to see the next one. Her name's Sarah Haley Finn. She's literally responsible for casting every main MCU character, actor to role outside of the Incredible Hulk. And I mean the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk. That wasn't her. Right.
Which does count as part of the universe.
Exactly. So when you think about Iron Man, it's Robert Downey Jr., period. No one else can play that character. That is Logan levels. That is Professor X levels of Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson. And when you look at all these characters in the movies they were in, all these actors in the movies they were in before...
You're talking about the unsung hero of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. I
really am. When you look at their roles in the movies that they were in before they were superheroes, you're like, I would not have picked you then. I would never have picked you then.
Right.
Sarah did. Wow. Sarah did it for all of them. I mean, we all kind of saw Doctor Strange coming, but I mean, for the rest of them,
on the nose.
I mean, and Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk. That is fucking genius, and nobody thought of that.
And now we can't think of anybody
Sarah
else.
Sarah did, exactly.
So much that when I went back and I've been rewatching all the movies this week, I saw like the Edward Norton one. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right to me. Like this just. Like, he did a good job, but, like, in retrospect now, I'm like, it's now no Mark Ruffalo.
Even when they picked, the Black Panther. I mean, that's not a choice I would have made.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's actually really fucking good.
I love that
Captain
y'all
Marvel
are making
is really
my
good
point
casting,
for me.
too.
I get both of your points so far, and including Chat's points. When I said diversity, this is what I mean. Diversity in storytelling, diversity in characters, diversity in the just... people and the portrayals overall,
diversity in directors,
and diversity in directors.
Ooh, that's a very
all of these
strong,
things. The diversity
point.
That Marvel has put in there, allowing the diversity to be shown finally, is what's made these movies so great. Because each story can be different and unique and by itself. Each actor can be diverse and show different aspects of humanity. We get so much diversity within the Marvel universe that it makes film going better and makes other movies have to live up to how good that experience will be.
And this is something that Hector and I talked about over lunch this last week when we were talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. Up until, because to be perfectly honest, I've been talking about this particular topic for over a week because I've been that excited for this to be our topic this week.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe what it is, in my opinion, is that they stopped thinking about things in terms of how do we make another superhero film and started asking questions like, what kind of film can we make that has superheroes in it? It stopped being just an action blockbuster superhero film where superhero was the term you put before everything, right? It said, okay, so now we've got the Russo brothers coming in. They want to make a spy movie that's got superheroes.
Yeah.
We want to do a heist movie with superheroes. We then take these important genres and put them before the superhero moniker.
Yeah.
That is one of the key flavors of Marvel that has worked out so well, because when everybody says, when are we going to get burned out on superheroes? That's not the question, because
Right.
they're not making superhero movies per se.
That's right.
Whenever you see, even though it's not part of the Marvel movies officially, Logan, it's
Yeah.
a fucking Western.
It's a Western.
Yeah, it's a Western.
And whenever, I mean, Westerns aren't in style, so whenever you take a character, put it in slightly in the future,
Yeah.
and he's a mutant, but it's a Western, you're like, that shouldn't work at all,
Yeah.
ever. That's a bad idea.
Why do you think we're all excited about the New Mutants movie, which
Yeah.
is probably going to be horrible now, but we were excited for it because it was.
I mean,
If it ever comes
it's,
out-
it's probably not going to be the new Phoenix movie bad, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Oh, will we? Do we have to?
I mean, I still haven't watched
But that's-
Aquaman, and that was apparently really good,
This
so
is a
I wouldn't go really good. It was fun.
I just don't want to.
This
I
is the key
don't
point
want
of why these Marvel movies work so well, is that
Yeah.
everybody keeps saying, like, when are these superhero movies going to go away? And it's like, because you're not looking at it from the right angle. They're not
Right.
making superhero movies.
Right, and
They're
every once
making
in a
movies
while-
They're
that have
making
superheroes.
a
Right.
movie in a genre that happens to be
somebody
about
walked
superheroes.
into a boardroom and said, all right, how do we do Ant-Man? Ocean's 13, superhero.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Like, that was their
Yeah.
discussion for
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah, heist movie. I mean, you have so many cool genres, and even the thing that's great, also great about the Marvel movies, is if one misses, if you really don't like one that you go see, the next one's going to be completely different anyway.
But what was the fact they're willing to take risks?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's take a minute and just talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, guys.
How would you have cast Guardians of the Galaxy? Sarah picked all the perfect people.
Sarah's
would you have
Sarah's
cast
amazing.
Drax the Destroyer?
It's fucking Batista. Like,
Yes.
No, I'd be like The Rock, I guess.
Yeah, or if you could get, but who else after The Rock? Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah, like it's
Perfect
certainly not Chris
immediately.
Pratt.
I
Who
mean,
was doing Parks
Who
and
would
Rec at
you
the
have
time.
cast as Groot?
Right?
I mean, come on.
Like this is
No,
so
the
fucking
casting-
Unmitigated genius, this woman. Like, pure and simple.
like this is so fucking ridiculous.
I just want to know, like, whenever I want to know what book she reads, so she can, and who she imagines as different characters, so
I'm
then
like,
I can figure it
I
out.
feel
so
like
I
as a
can-
casting director, she's just female me and watches every movie
No.
all the time and just sits there going like, "Oh, they'd be really good at that." Except she's an
No.
uncompromised genius,
No,
and I'm
no.
just watch a lot of
She
movies.
has. Remember in Back to the Future the almanac?
Yes, she's got
She's
the
got
almanac
that.
for
She's got
casting.
the almanac.
She
From
just
the future.
Oh, she's got the 100 years of Marvel movies
And
and,
she's just
like
like
little
this.
descriptions and the actors and everything.
No,
Someone traveled
you know
back
what?
in time
No,
and went, "This has to happen here."
Oh, you know, what?
take
I'm
this."
going to take that statement back. It was a funny quote, but really, like, it really shows how good she is as a
Incredibly
casting
talented.
director.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, oh, she's got a book and can look.
I mean,
like
honestly,
this. No,
honestly, I didn't know that it was
she
the same
has
casting
fucking-
for every
she-
single movie.
I
didn't-
found, I didn't find out that long ago. I was like, wait, one person? Check the credits. It's literally all of them, and Agents of Shield, and the one shots that were in Agents of Shield right after the Avengers came out.
That fucking casting for fucking Ghost Rider,
Yeah.
so good. Like, oh my god.
She cast Coulson. I mean, like
Right?
who would have done that casting? It's all great.
Bradley Cooper, Trash Panda.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Uh-huh.
When you
Yeah.
think like, okay, hey guys, where can we get
Rocket the
Bradley?
Raccoon.
Where can we get Bradley Cooper to play in
You know
the
what
Marvel
the first
universe?
thing that would have come to my mind when someone said Rocket the
Trash.
Raccoon? I would have been like, I don't know, Gilbert Godfrey. Let's
Right.
do that. That sounds
Yeah,
funny.
he was great at Iago.
It'd be funny for like 2 seconds. That'd be great. That won't annoy everyone.
All right, so this is a question for the
No, we're just
entire.
one of the best actors of our fucking generation to be a fucking
And make him
CGI,
a CGI
fucking
raccoon.
This is a question for the panel and of course chat as well. You guys can chime in. Give me an example of something that has happened scene-wise in the Marvel movies that was either unexpected to you or that moved you.
Oh fuck! Like every single movie has a point where
A
I'm
lot
tearing
of
up.
them.
God damn! Like I have to like think back on this.
Okay, the first one that I can really say did it. There was this moment where everything clicked into place, and I went from like an enthusiastic movie watcher to a true Marvel fan. And it's gonna chime with everyone because it's like kind of a cheap answer, but it really is the first time I remember being moved emotionally. And I'm not even. It wasn't even a sad moment. There's that moment that everyone remembers in the Avengers where the Hulk picks up Loki and slams him into the floor
Yeah.
while he's trying to be a dick. I cried laughing in the theater when that happened, and the entire theater was there with me for it. You know, we'd been through Iron Man, we'd been through Thor, we'd been through Captain America, and those were all pretty good movies. I was really liking them. We got to the Avengers, and I was excited for the Avengers. Not the way that I am to this day, but I was pretty excited back then that I saw it in theater. That moment was so big for me. That was just like, fucking genius. Fucking brilliant. It's such an easy comedic bent, and it means so much.
And then the
entire
callback to
power
it.
play.
The callback to it, and it's like we have a Hulk.
Yeah.
Whenever you get Loki to be like, no, this guy's gonna beat the shit out of you.
And that's what, and 'cause Tony had said it to him earlier. He was like, I have an army. We have a Hulk.
Yeah. We have a really great one from the chat right now saying the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin being used in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was
a huge moment for
the
me.
fact
too.
that they
That was
both
great.
front end and back end the movie with that song. Because I just watched that today at work.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't working today. Actually, I was watching
you worked as much as the rest of us.
So watching that and watching them bookend the movie that way was very, very powerful. In fact, the only thing that kind of upsets me about that, and I don't want to side tangent too much, is the fact that I remember this being around the same time that Destiny used the same song in a commercial.
Oh,
And I
did
was
they?
like, God damn it! This
They had used it a few years beforehand, if I remember correctly.
But Thor Ragnarok did it so well, and just their use of music in that movie
yeah.
itself. Thor Ragnarok is honestly with the biggest, it gets the most improved award. It was like,
for
best.
character, Thor gets the most improved, and honestly, the closest to one of the actual comic books.
Yeah.
Because Thor Ragnarok is the World War Hulk.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
It's actually that story, but
Yeah.
from Thor's perspective, because they couldn't use Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
And also,
So-
who the fuck would if they once they get once we get
Hey,
Beta Ray Bill?
they put him on the mountain.
Yeah.
He's on the
Yeah,
building.
he's on the building, and Thor does get Beta Ray's hammer when Mjolnir breaks.
Yeah.
So Tony, for you, what was either unexpected or really moved you? Give me a good story.
For really moved me. I'm just gonna go with the entire Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. Like that thing, just fucking hearing the first one, not the second one. The second soundtrack is not near as good.
Are you telling me that their use of fucking Fleetwood Mac's The Chain was not brilliant? I will fight you right now.
It's the reliance on a song for the plot line of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was the point why I didn't like it. I was like, whenever they starts with the song that's his mother's name, which is the entire plot line of the fucking thing, I was like, oh, you just ruined it. You ruined the magic
You
of
were
the music.
overthinking all of it.
I feel like you like it was. I mean, because let's be honest, the first Guardians movie, the soundtrack is the plot. Like it literally drives the entire movie from scene one to the end.
Yeah.
Till he gets a
I
new
think,
tape.
I was gonna say, I
Spoiler
think the
alert.
problem is that you expect it going.
Oh yeah, we
into
didn't tell everybody before this for the show. Spoilers for literally every single
Every
movie.
Marvel movie. Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we're gonna spoil.
We're a little
all of
late to
them.
the.
But yeah, I mean I feel like the soundtrack for both was great. But when I realized literally like 3 seconds into Guardians that the soundtrack was going to drive the whole movie, the first one, I went from I'm curious to like, okay, I'm on. You have my attention. This is fun.
But for something that like just hit me emotionally, it's going to be the end of the original Captain America.
Okay.
I love World War II shit.
Yeah.
Sacrificing yourself to like save all of humanity, like that was just like, oh motherfucker.
Like even knowing that he was going to be unfrozen later, it was still filmed in such a brilliant way.
Even
that
though
you
like they're gonna be
still-
unfrozen, because if the movie bombed, they just be like, well, he just stayed frozen.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, or we're just gonna scrap that idea. But like for me, earlier you talked about my love of Band of Brothers. That's where it was. Watching the entire battle sequence and leading up to that moment, just the end, it was like, motherfucker.
Oh, just listening to that dialogue at the very end where he's just like, you know, he goes, I don't think I'm going to make it. And she's like, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, we have a date on Saturday to go dancing.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, but I don't know how to dance. So pick a slow song. And you're just listening to this dialogue and you're like, but no, you have to go back to her.
And that was in that movie, in that instant, the line that hit me the hardest was when he wakes up and he goes, I had a date.
Yeah.
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 That's that
yeah.
moment. It's just, I had a date. And you're just like, fuck, I hate all of this right now.
This is just
Yeah.
bringing me to another wonderful point. Is
Of how
the-
weird it is that he's dating Sharon Carter.
No, that's actually where I was going to go with this. Is the wonderful funness of the relationships of Captain America and people around him. I mean, whenever you get to he's sitting in the Beetle, and remember that scene? Where, fuck what.
You're talking about when the Falcon is there.
Yeah, when
along
Falcon's
with,
there.
With Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier, and
Civil
he's
War.
talking, in Civil War, and like that, the slow discovery of, because he's a character who is so mild and so small, but as a hero is so big, that seeing that small side of him in his relationships is very interesting, and how that's evolved going from, you know, whenever he was literally a very small person and couldn't speak to a woman, to now where his relationship is in the films. It's been a fun journey, and it's a side plot line that's not even really thought about, but it does weave through a lot of the films.
Yeah,
That is true.
and I mean, can we talk about how, like, Whedon, while we're sitting around talking about geniuses of the MCU, basically wrote and invented all of these characters' interactions with each other. Like before, we had seen them pretty much all separately, and when we get to the Avengers, we have out of nowhere the most perfect bromance between Banner and Stark. Mm-hmm. We have the obvious foreshadowing of all kinds of like Civil War shit going on between Tony and fucking Captain America, and it all would just like came out of his brain, and just onto the page.
He is a writer that it does work well with ensemble casts.
That's what I was gonna say. Is his coming from a television background, where you are working with multiple other writers and have to understand the characters together as a group. So he was able to take everybody, go, all right, characters this for you, characters this for you. I can now take all of your brains, stick them in my brain, and tickle out some good stuffs.
Exactly. Like, I'd even talk about in Ultron, one of the very first scenes is them all just, like, having an after party after they kicked a bunch of ass.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of a long scene, but it's so much fun, and it's so, like, just people at a party, there's a lot of, you can tell, like, improvisation. Mm-hmm. They're just kind of quipping off of each other, saying fun
it's the
stuff.
biggest letdown of the series, Ultron. It's still a fucking fun movie.
Of the Avengers movies.
I was gonna say, out of the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. We're in this.
Yeah, I know we had like a weekend of Ultron. Like, they couldn't do Ultron in a movie. I think that might be where they fucked up, but they couldn't do not Ultron, and they couldn't do not a movie with these actors.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if there was ever a really good way to do Ultron.
Ultron is the same as Brainiac in Superman. It's just a character that it doesn't translate well and shouldn't really be used.
You would need a 12-episode series of, like, hour-long shows to do Ultron right.
Yeah, and I think that's where the failure of Ultron was, not necessarily in that too many things had to get shoehorned into it.
I want to mention another moment that hit me that not a lot of people think about or even really talk about. That was a really big one for me. When a movie went from this is fun to, wow, this is actually pretty brilliant right now. The writing, the tension. And that's in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
When he walks up to Mary Jane's door, knocks, door opens, and there's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the night, you're just there with him, because I, in the theater, went... Like, I was like, oh, how did I not see this coming? And because it wasn't telegraphed. And then you get to spend, like, a whole bunch of the night and a whole super awkward car ride of just Michael Keaton sitting there just, like, sussing it out.
It
being
renders
like,
Peter Parker incapable.
I'm pretty fucking sure he's Spider-Man.
It renders Peter Parker incapable of being a hero, because I just finished that one today as well. Mm-hmm. And you watch him go through this, and he literally, his dream date... Mm-hmm. he has to go away from because he now knows who the father is. Yeah. And it's just like, it's kind of heartbreaking.
It is, because, I mean, he's there to just have a good time with the girl who agreed
to
go out with him.
That's actually an interesting thing, because for me, Homecoming is actually watching Spider-Man fail at being Spider-Man. Because they specifically put him in places where he can't swing from buildings.
Mm-hmm. Where he can't be a Spider-Man.
Where he can't be Spider-Man. He's like, well, he's in a lake. Spiders don't do well in lakes.
He's more like Jogs Fast Man and shoots you with sticky
and then it trapped inside of a building that he can't leave. You're like, that makes... You'd think that would not be a fun Spider-Man story. Oh, yeah. But it works, and it works well in the context of that story. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think... the Spider-Man, because the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige, one of the three of them came out and said that Endgame isn't the wrap up, that it's actually the next Spider-Man. Far From Home is the final one in Phase 4, in Phase 3. In Phase 3. Yeah. After that, we'll be changing over. Okay. And it makes sense because that one's coming out afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so I guess I'll just go ahead and throw mine out real quick. So the question was, something that happened in the movies that was unexpected or moves you. I know this is a very generic answer, and I apologize for that. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was a big deal for me. Growing up in my household, I had my dad, who is my dad, and I've always known him as my dad. And my dad is a fantastic, one of the most badass people that I've ever known. He was a deep-sea welder for a majority of his life. And if you can think of a more badass profession than that, fucking come at me, bro.
You probably wrestle sharks or something.
Right, exactly. And so I found out at some point that, he wasn't my biological dad, which is really weird and confusing, but I was very estranged from my biological father. We did not interact very much.
Mm-hmm.
And the attempts that my biological father made to be in my life failed horribly. They were not good. They were not fun interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my dad was always my dad. And my biological father was this kind of weird otherworldly entity, to put it in Marvel context. And so when we got to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Yondu says, he may be your father, but he was never your dad, like,
Oh, I should have fucking was crying.
Like, I shit you not. I fucking lost my shit because all I could think about was my dad. And I'm like, no, that's exactly it. That line is exactly how I feel about my dad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about this person who was like my sperm donor and gave me life. I care about the person who I've only known my entire life, that has only wanted the best for me, has only wanted to take care for me. And it hurt me. Like, sitting there and watching a comic book movie and having those kind of emotions rise to the surface was, in retrospect, a moment where I went, this is no longer just about being superhero movies anymore. This is really about these great stories that are being told that just have superheroes in them. And so that was my personal emotional impact. Sorry about getting a little sensitive about it, but it was a really big thing for me.
I mean, for you, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the other unexpected one right around that exact same time. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
That was like, yes.
That's way too good.
No, like that's where the movies overall succeed, and it is because they have different genres each, but they're telling human tales. They're not telling superhero tales. These are Homecoming is about a kid who's trying to go on a date with a girl whose dad is a bad guy.
Yeah.
He could have been, a guy that runs a drug ring or something. He could have been a guy that just, beats his mom. There's so many different types of stories you could tell with that, but it's a superhero, so he's a guy who sells black market alien weapons. They actually show him,
like, being down on his luck and showing a natural progression for that villain to be like, I just want to provide for my family.
These are we're telling human stories first.
Right, and that was right around the time where Marvel decided their villains needed more motivation.
It's true. And that is a thing that we should temporarily discuss, is that the villains needed some work, and now we're getting that, right?
Yeah, I mean, because he really was kind of like the aftermath of, the Battle of New York, and you had his company, hired to clean something up, big contract, and it was canceled immediately.
That was something that nerds, we bitched about for ages, because like aliens show up, they destroy half of New York, and we're like, well, it's never addressed. We bitched incessantly about that in the Man of Steel. We're like, literally the entire city's destroyed.
But damage control has actually always been something that did actually
that's something
exist
that Marvel universe
is,
addresses that.
And the MCU has taken care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC, like, we're not even real sure what city was destroyed in Man of Steel.
Yeah,
because by the time we got to Batman versus Superman, everything was fine.
That's when you discover Gotham and fucking Metropolis are in the same bay together.
Apparently,
And you're like,
They're just
that's
across the
bad
bay.
fucking city planning, is what I'm saying.
All right, so
Also, one of those superheroes needs to move. One of them can cover both.
Yeah, that's the same neighborhood. You're getting to the Netflix heroes.
I was gonna say, this isn't the
boroughs.
Defenders right now. Like, y'all can't just live like 3 blocks from each other.
Okay, so creating a creature like the MCU takes a lot of work.
Superman can fucking fly,
right?
He can do both.
But even more so, getting the public to really embrace it, to become part of the zeitgeist of the modern America, or even the world.
And it's literally the world. It's the world. These have fundamentally changed the world.
Is completely unheard of. So, is there any one thing that you can think of the MCU did that really made it just accessible to everybody?
Well, I can say one of my favorite things that it did for accessibility, just in general, it's Black Panther.
Okay.
The idea of little white kids wanting to be a black superhero.
Yeah, we kept hearing these stories pop up in the news all the time where there were so many proud black parents who saw, white kids that come Halloween time said, I want to be Black Panther. And they were like, yes, please. They weren't saying no, it's a black character. They're saying no, finally, we've had to dress
put
up
on blackface. Use the mask.
We've had to dress
wear
up.
the mask.
Everybody's had to dress up as white characters for so long. Now, little white kids want to dress up as a black character, and that's so beautiful.
When you think
and
about
amazing.
how many young people of any color have dressed up as Wolverine for Halloween,
right?
I mean, that's probably a really big moment.
Yeah, it really is. It's a huge deal.
I think that now with Captain Marvel, Like, I'm still mad. Like, you went to the store the other day, and you were like, I was wanting to go there and see what their in-game merchandise was like. Did they have a Captain Marvel shirt for guys? And you're like, no. I was like, motherfucker, I want my goddamn Captain Marvel shirt.
So
Right.
story about this. Like, I went to the mall. My girlfriend and I went to the mall
Yeah.
this weekend, and we bought a bunch of Avengers Legos or my Captain Marvel Legos. And I wanted to go check out Hot Topic because they always have like the merch from the most recent kind of nerd movies. And I went in there, and this is cool for them, by the way. I'm not dissing them at all. But they did a line of Captain Marvel merch that was specifically made for women.
Cool.
And I was like, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I was like, I also just wanted to go in as a guy and buy a Captain Marvel T-shirt, and they didn't have one.
Yeah.
And I was like,
If you could just have one with the symbol on the
So
shirt.
now I
that's
know
really
how
all
it
want.
feels to be on the other side of
Yeah.
the argument now.
There you go.
Right? As a
like,
white,
man, I'd really love a a Captain America shirt says, a young girl, and it's just like, yeah, sorry, that's for boys,
right.
adult
So
human.
I now have had that feeling. That didn't stop me from buying a Goose Captain Marvel coffee cup. But,
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing that I love about this is, again, you said it was the diversity.
Yeah.
It's encouraged.
Right.
I mean, it did take a
so
little
many
bit.
people.
Yeah,
Let's be fair.
I would say, like,
The movie started real white.
Yeah.
Well, 100%, yeah, diversity. I think someone in chat said something that I was going to touch on too. He said personable characters, and I would have said flawed characters. None of these characters are perfect. When you think about Captain America, you don't think about him the same way you think of Superman, especially not in the DC universe right now. He basically never stops being perfect unless he's in a coma. That's Superman in those movies. Batman could be flawed and other things, and Aquaman's kind of cocky. Wonder Woman is also like weirdly super perfect. But all
Wonder
of
Woman's
our
always
I don't want to
perfect,
get into a Marvel versus DC argument.
no, me neither.
But I want to throw something on the table for you real quick. Superman is supposed to be truth, justice, and in the American way as it exists. Captain America is truth, justice, and the American way, the way that America should be.
Right.
And that's what makes them different.
Yeah.
Because
And that's what actually makes them better.
Because if you
Well,
watch,
also, one of them's actually an American.
if you watch Civil War,
That sounded a little bit racist. I'm just gonna say.
if you
He's
watch,
not from here, guys.
if you
So
go
he's
back,
not an American because he's not from here.
He's an immigrant.
wow, guys, what I'm
If
saying.
you don't know us personally, this is not the correct argument that he should be taking.
I know. So if you
I'm using the wrong tone of voice for all of this. I'm supposed to be sounding a lot more sarcastic.
Yes,
So-
but you're not. You're sounding like an angry white guy.
if you go back and watch the Captain
Well, you're
America
not white.
movies,
Well, this is all James's fault. He got me off of my tangent.
when
for
you
this.
when you watch the Captain America movies, what he says was, you get Nick Fury saying like, "Hey, we've got satellites in the air, we've got
Yeah.
guns on the ground, we're doing all these things, we're predicting crimes before they happen," and Captain America says, "That's not what America is. You shouldn't be prejudging people based on their actions."
Right.
Whereas a character like Superman would be like, "Yeah, you know what? That's just the way it is, and go." So again, side tangent, so I apologize.
Yeah.
But Captain America does really mean what the core values of America is, and that's why he rebels when it comes to the Sokovia Accords.
Right. So and that's where I was going with this. And as far as, whether the Sokovia Accords rebellion was right or wrong, the point that I'm making is, Tony obviously is haunted by demons, and he's afraid that...
That's actually Chad was bringing up.
Yeah,
One of the
that-
favorite parts is the Demon in the Bottle storyline.
Yeah, I
that
mean-
they do kind of touch on in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, and
whenever
I-
he's drunkenly being Iron Man.
See, and
about to
I
die,
unironically defend Iron Man 3. A lot of people didn't like that because...
I am an
it's-
Iron Man 3 apologist. I'm sorry,
Yes,
I'm that guy. I fucking
absolutely.
love that movie. I'm sorry. I
Just
can't. I love
the
it.
growth of the character in that movie and removing his suit so that he has to become more than just a guy wearing a shield. Like, I felt like that was great because he was a flawed character, and that made the movie more fun than it was in Iron Man 2 when he was just kind of cocky all the time. Captain America, to go back to that conversation, he's really fucking stubborn, and he doesn't listen to people even when they might have a point.
Yeah.
He knows what's right and wrong, and like Tony said to Little Spider-Man, that's what makes him dangerous.
Yeah.
But Tony Stark is a piece of shit. All right, first off,
Yeah,
Just even in the movies, piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, all right. So one of the things you mentioned, this getting out of the suit in 3, like where he has to become better than that, and he has this line that for some reason people like that apparently it touches on the character. In Spider-Man: Homecoming, he's like, "If you're nothing without the suit, you don't
shouldn't
deserve
have
it,
it.
right?
Shouldn't have it, not don't deserve it.
You shouldn't have it. Tony Stark literally is nothing without the suit.
Except,
The
so
So
you
genius
forget the
billionaire
fact,
playboy for
I was going to say you forgot the other discussion that happened several movies back where they
Right.
said, "Without the suit, who are you?" And he gave all
Right.
those answers.
And then the whole reason is in Iron Man 3, after Avengers 1, he had to figure out what he was without the suit. So when you get all the way to Homecoming, and now he's given little Spider-Man a
if
suit,
you're-
it's
if
like,
you're-
if you're nothing without the suit.
I think I know I am personally just too jaded to Tony Stark.
You are,
that
yes.
and that's fine.
that's the reason whenever they said, "Oh, Tony Stark's going to be like the hero for Spider-Man," I was like, "The fuck he is."
Yeah.
He's the worst option for him.
Yeah, well,
But
not
going
everybody.
back and rewatching it, he really does grow and evolve. In fact, he's probably the most dynamic character in all of the Marvel movies.
Right, and when you come all the way
And
around
that's how
to,
great Robert Downey Jr. is a fucking actor, because I
Exactly.
actively hate him for this character.
and that's the great thing about these characters is they're all flied in such certain archetypical ways that you can like some and
an
not like
excellent
others
point
personally.
From the
Yeah,
chat,
but still,
I have a
understand
really
they're
huge
heroes.
problem with Captain America because I hate unreasonable people.
excellent point from the chat, coming from a veteran, saying that they were touching on his PTSD in Iron Man 3 was very well done.
Oh, yeah,
And
very
that's,
well
that's
done.
the reason
would've
I am
loved
an
the movie-
apologist for that movie.
No,
'cause I'm like, that
that's
really
the one
isn't
thing that I like
PTSD.
about it. I just wish that it wasn't it wasn't just shot around Christmas, because I can only watch movies that are around Christmas
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 time, yeah.
because my brain says no, don't do that.
I have the
That's
problem
the wrong
with Die
time
Hard.
of year.
I can literally watch Die Hard
Okay.
movies like once a year.
Well, Die Hard 1 is the only one that's in Christmas.
1
The
and
re-
2.
We have been going on for quite a while here, and I
Two?
really appreciate all of us sitting down.
Very
and-
least it was in winter.
and just geeking out over all of this. I have some quick fire questions
Yeah,
to
let's
kind
do
of
it.
wrap this whole thing up. So here we go. Quick fire round. Favorite MCU movie?
Who wants to go first?
No, I mean it's titles. I'll just fucking I think honestly the first Avengers. I think the first Avengers brought everybody together. It was fun. It was entertaining. It's what made the Marvel magic later.
Yeah.
You had all these independent stories that culminated for the first time ever. The first time in film history we've had something like this. It was important and groundbreaking. And it's not the best. It's not the funniest. It's not the best shot. I mean, shit. If I'm gonna go with that, I'm probably gonna say Thor Ragnarok, because that is just overall a beautiful fucking film.
Yeah.
But the Avengers changed shit,
Yeah.
and that's why to me, because its importance in history.
Sure. Hector, just favorite MCU?
If I had to pick one,
It's hard, I know.
and I wasn't going to pick the Avengers because Tony picked it, because that one was very formative for me. I don't know if it's my favorite. If I was going to pick a favorite anyway, honestly, it would probably be Civil War. It had all.
Another
It had
good choice.
most of
It
the
was a spy
characters.
movie.
It was a spy movie. It was a really well done spy
Avengers
movie.
2.5.
Yeah, it was a really good spy movie. Even after Winter Soldier was already a pretty great like Tom Clancy movie.
Yeah.
Like we got all the way to Civil War, and that was a great spy movie that also culminated in the first view we got of Marvel's Spider-Man, which everyone was like, holy fuck, they fixed Spider-Man in like 20 minutes. When we got, we got to see, Wanda fight Vision, fight, Black Panther fight fucking, the Black Widow. This is all over the place, doing so much great stuff. I feel like that movie really did have everything. It had a lot of really personal moments for all of the characters. It really felt good. There are moments to laugh, moments to cry. It's got everything.
So for me, I want to talk about the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So obviously I talked about my connection with the second movie. I want to go back to the first movie because I watched the original Guardians of the Galaxy, and up until that point, like I was like, I'd always love to be a superhero like Iron Man, like just being an engineer and being very scientific and all this. And this is my Mary Sue moment. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, no, I'd probably be Star-Lord. That would probably be me.
I'd be running
I
around,
would be-
shooting things, stealing shit,
No.
being
I
an
would
asshole.
Be listening to like 70s music and like being an asshole. Like that's like that for me.
That's definitely the character of Star-Lord.
all
Yeah.
all of the Marvel movies like embraced my childhood. Watching Star-Lord on screen went, nope, that's me. That's the person I would be if I was actually a superhero in space.
Yeah.
I would be that asshole. So Guardians really connected with me, and also the idea that in the original Guardians, family isn't just biological; it's the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tony and I have been friends for most of our lives.
Literally over half our lives,
That's,
so.
that really rung home with
Yeah,
me.
yeah, the family that you picked, right?
Yeah, it really is the family that you picked, and I really
I
appreciate
mean, when you get
that.
a tree, a raccoon, a guy that doesn't understand basically any form of sarcasm,
It's this entire apartment. That's exactly what we're in.
And
All right,
a galactic assassin.
So,
and a smartass.
we've said what our favorite movie is. Least favorite movie.
well, we already kind of said Ultron.
I'll go first this time. Yeah, Thor 2.
Thor 2. For me, hands
See,
down.
all right,
Thor
see,
2.
I'm a Thor 2 apologist. I like Thor 2.
What is there
Really?
to apologize for?
First off, you wouldn't fucking have Captain Marvel if you, or actually, no, you still would have Captain Marvel, but if time in the continuity timeline, but if that movie hadn't come out, Captain Marvel wouldn't have had that plot line that would have been so much fun for it to be part
You
of.
were really over apologizing for this movie.
Shut the fuck up. I like Thor, okay? I just like Thor being Thor and all the Thor things. That's all I want is Thor. It's
So-
Chris Hemsworth.
so what
he
is your-
basically could just walk around on screen going, hi, and be shirtless. I'm going to have a fun fucking time.
Yeah, no lie. Yeah.
Okay, so least favorite Marvel movie.
You know what? I forgot, and I might be giving you your answer.
If it's Incredible Hulk, I'm going to go with that one because I was going to say Ultron, but it's probably Incredible Hulk.
I mean, that was the thing. Incredible Hulk, like, it had...
But that's-
Really? Because
it
I've
just
been
shows its age.
I've been rewatching all of those these last week, and Incredible Hulk is so much better than Thor.
It's been so long since I've watched it.
It's-
It's been so
I'm trying to
long
remember
Edward
the last
Norton-
time I watched
Edward
Incredible
Norton
Hulk.
did a
Was
really
it-
good job.
Edward Norton is a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
I'm
And Norton
glad
can
we
just
have
show up on
Ruffalo.
screen and just say hi, and
Yeah.
we're just going to like it too.
I'm glad we have Ruffalo, though. I really am.
Yeah, I prefer my Ruffalos. It took me a lot of convincing because whenever they changed from Norton to Ruffalo, I was like, fucking
Yeah,
Ed
the beginning-
Norton, one of the best actors of our
yeah.
fucking
we
generation.
didn't know.
We
the
knew
circumstances.
Norton was out,
Yeah.
but as soon as I saw Ruffalo in Avengers, like the first
Yeah, no,
scene,
it totally made
he's
sense.
talking to
I was
the,
like, you're fucking Bruce
the
Banner.
little, he's talking to the little girl in India, and I was just like, oh, fuck, yes, Bruce
Yeah, I was
Banner.
like, he's
All right.
immediately was Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
So
Least favorite. You got to pick one.
it's fucking Ultron. It's Ultron.
Yeah, Age of
I
Ultron
just-
is fine.
Age
I mean,
of Ultron is not a very.
I don't
it's-
agree,
it
but
just-
I
it's just
understand
too-
why you would pick it.
It's like the blender of all of the movies. It wasn't pieced together correctly. It didn't have the right
To
timing
be
or
fair,
character depth.
Someone made a comment earlier, and my number one reason with being disappointed in Age of Ultron is exactly what he said. I wanted more James Spader.
Yeah, I wanted
him,
more James
I wanted
Spader.
him to never stop talking in the entire movie.
So we talk so often on the show about how DC's movies are bogged down by the corporate entity going over them and saying you have to do this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened in Age of Ultron. We've heard the stories from
Oh, yeah.
even Whedon himself, who said,
Yeah.
"Look, I had a very concise story, but then." The
Too many
company
hands in
stepped
the
in and
fucking
said,
Yeah, that's the reason I said
"You
it was
have
like
to-
it was the blender of it. Just everything got mixed together in the wrong way. Whenever you had the perfect formula with the first movie, and they tried to repeat that perfect formula, adding a
To
little
be
more
fair,
here and there, and they
I'm going to be
overdid
really
it.
upset about what happens in the next movie because I saw Hawkeye's life, and I know that if he's going to become Ronin in this next movie, shit went down.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to be okay with
We
that.
just have to not talk about any of that till the movie comes
Well, you
out,
know
James.
what? Even post that, we know Hawkeye's getting his own series on Disney Plus.
true.
So
Yes, but we're not speculating about
You're
it
not
because we
speculating.
haven't seen Endgame yet.
That's
yeah,
true.
we haven't
can't.
seen Endgame yet. I haven't read a single rumor. I think I have only seen maybe the first teaser trailer for
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
So for the MCU, we have 2 questions left. Favorite character in the MCU at this point?
That's a lot of fucking characters.
Dude, you're asking me to choose between my favorite 50 children.
Tony
But
Stark.
you know you've got a favorite, though. You just got to be honest.
I'm going with Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
Thor. It's Thor or Captain America. I can't decide. I love both of them. I don't know why.
Who would you sleep with first?
Thor
Okay.
and
That's-
Captain America at the same time.
Wow.
This
All right.
makes my...
I'm not going to judge.
This makes defending my choice a lot easier. Your last question, because I was going to go with Wanda Maximoff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why is she your favorite character?
I love the struggle that she has because literally all anyone can say about her powers is that they're weird. She can do some really obviously incredibly powerful things, even just in the MCU, regardless of all the other
she
Marvel
went from
things.
a rebellious teenager to public enemy number 1, basically within a movie.
And my thing about her is like she's with this group of people and all they do is try and do good things, and she's training, putting her life on the line to try and do these good things, and everyone's just fucking frightened of her.
Yeah.
Even her own team, you can tell at times. They just,
With the exception of Vision, who's completely
everyone but Vision, and which she could obviously easily really hurt Vision, but the only one, but Vision, like, you probably can't die or something.
I love comic
But
book Vision. He's not the same as movie
The
Vision.
only other one who's really just not afraid of her is Hawkeye, because he's like, Wanda wouldn't hurt me if I didn't give her a reason,
true.
you know. But there's something about that
It's somebody
character
who's
and the way that Olsen plays her. It feels sweet and natural and tragic and sad, but also hopeful. I don't know. Something about
Basically,
that character.
she's the perfect portrayal of a Russian novel.
That character in the MCU is just wonderful to me. It's probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
I agree with Chat. Chat decided to say that Agent Coulson's favorite.
Agent Coulson is a solid.
And we were
number
all
two
like,
for me.
we always kind of went like, "Fuck yeah, we forgot about
Yeah,
it." Because I
Coulson.
personally stopped watching Agents of Shield a while ago because it just felt too
So
much.
good.
I liked the character of Agent Coulson in the films because he was used sparingly. He was us. He was the fanboy that got to be part of this, to go along on that ride, that
He
journey.
had a Captain America card collection. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
And that's why I loved him so much, because he was identifiable as us as the character, or us as a character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they put him in a TV show, I didn't feel that connection anymore. It felt disjointed. He still does an amazing job as the character.
Oh, yeah.
But I no longer feel that attachment,
Honestly,
that fanboy
I
being
don't
part
want
of that
to
group.
shatter anybody's image, but Coulson, while we say Coulson is us, Coulson is really Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, no,
actually
he's-
what that is.
Yeah.
Coulson is
And if
the
I've
Joss
learned
Whedon
anything in my
character.
life, Joss Whedon is a little bit of all of us.
Okay, so to wrap this whole thing up, I know we've been going on for quite some time, but this was the 11 years, guys. 11
Yep.
fucking years.
And-
we could go on for 11 years about how much we love this
Yeah.
shit.
And like 4 more days till we're just in our seats waiting for the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that last those like 12 hours before we're in those seats is gonna be kind of hell.
Once I get off work on Friday, I'm fine. It's probably like the entire workday Thursday and Friday. I'm just gonna like have no
Anxious.
nails left.
So
I'm gonna
what-
bite them off.
I can't check Reddit. I can't get on Facebook.
Yep.
I can't do anything.
Final question. The thing that you were excited for the most.
The thing.
The
The thing we are
you were excited for
the
the,
thing you were
most.
excited for the most.
The thing you were excited for the most.
In Endgame.
Endgame and Marvel going forward.
Oh, see, you
Yeah.
can't just say going forward because we don't know what's going to happen
no,
going
based
forward.
only on the information that's been provided to us.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the Hawkeye stuff, the Loki stuff that you're going to do with Disney Plus. I'm interested in those. I'm not overly excited about it. For me, it's the culmination of these films coming together with Endgame, with getting to see how Thanos' plotline is going to be wrapped up.
Yeah.
That for me, it's finally the fucking orgasm after so fucking long. All
I
right.
feel like every Avengers movie has been an orgasm, and we're just
Yeah.
like rocketing through them
We're having tantric fucking Marvel sex
for the
and-
last 11 years.
Okay, well,
Yes.
every once in a while we got to stop for like a
That
Thor.
is Tay Diggs level.
Every now and then we have to
tantric
have a
sex.
Thor 2 cigarette break, but you know what? We're still banging it out. All right.
Yeah.
No.
Ant-Man versus Thanos.
Ant-Man versus Thanos.
Thanos' butt. No, I'm looking forward to the first movie post Spider-Man
Right.
Far From Home
Yeah.
because I don't know what it is.
The beginning of
the next journey, where the next chapter is going, where we're going to see the future, where we're going to experience that. I have something to look forward to that is unknown to me,
Right.
and that is what I'm most hopeful for.
I have 2 things, but they're close enough. I'm really, really looking forward to the opening title card on Endgame, and even more
It's going
than
to take
that,
11 years to see it all.
even more than that, I'm really looking forward to, and I can't wait to see the movie in its entirety. I'm going to watch it like 7 times probably. I cannot wait to see the after credit scene for
Yeah.
Endgame.
I-
Whatever they're gonna pitch, whatever they have up their sleeve,
And-
they're gonna tip their cap the way they did with Thanos and Avengers
So
1.
I'm
I'm
going to
gonna be
disagree.
like,
I'm going to disagree.
I don't think there's actually going to be one person.
Nope, I'm disagreeing with both of you. You are saying that you want to see the after credits scene be the lead up to the next series of films.
I want it to be the thing that they do at the end of these movies, which back when the thing they do at the end of these movies back with
I'm gonna take your props away if you
back with
fucking-
Avengers. And the reason why is because now that we've had our fourth orgasm, we're gonna sit there and we all need more shit like this to keep us on the hype
So
train.
I
So they're
wanna
gonna put
say-
something in there.
I'm going to go a different way and say that the thing for this should be the after credit scene should be the shawarma wrap up. It
Okay.
should be all the heroes
I would love that.
healing up and resting because we still have Spider-Man Far From Home coming.
Right.
And Spider-Man Far From
Spider
Home
from Homecoming. Like
Far
should
From
that's
Homecoming.
combining
so,
both
so,
movies.
so sorry,
Yeah.
Far From Home.
No, I just
should-
like in my mind, I was like, that's gonna be a weird fucking film.
So that should be maybe our lead into the next segment. Don't make the end game the lead into the next segment. Let end game be end game. Let's have some finality and rest for 5 minutes before we grab our dicks and keep going.
You could say that, but the end of the Avengers was the
Why'd I
beginning
turn
of
this into
two
sex?
credit scenes. It was Thanos, then shawarma. We can
That is
have both.
Can't we? All right, my personal belief
It's like when someone
is
offered
that
you two
this
desserts.
Is this is
I'm gonna eat
finally
both.
the one where we don't have an after credit scene.
Not gonna
That
happen.
I feel that this is the one time we're like, and you're getting a breather. Or Deadpool shows up. That's
Well,
that's what I really
to
want
be
for the
fair-
after credit scene is Deadpool showing up and being like, "I'm here, motherfucker, suck my dick."
All right,
I
so,
mean, to be fair, Infinity War. I mean, no after credit scene.
to close this out, the last
Just
question
long,
was
sad titles.
the thing that you were excited for the most of this. It's really just the finality of it. The fact that we've gotten this far, we've gotten 11 years of amazing movies. Like even the second place of like pop culture like sci-fi stuff is Star Wars, and they don't.
Star Wars is second place,
they
y'all.
don't, they don't have as good of a track record.
Well,
No, and half their audience hates them. I mean,
Yeah.
by half their audience, I mean half the people who will definitely see
What
their
I'm
movies.
saying is that I'm
hate
looking-
them.
Who actively buy everything that they make.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the finality because I feel like the finality is going to be treated with the same respect and love as all the 11 years of movies before it.
That I would expect nothing less. You're
And
right.
so, getting the wrap up to all this, I'm going to probably be a giant bottle of emotions. We're all
Yeah.
going to the movie together. We're all going to be drinking. We're probably going to cry.
Oh,
Nobody's
yeah.
going to judge
Oh.
anybody.
We're probably gonna get out of the movie and sit in the
We're gonna hug
lobby for
each
like
other.
an hour and a half and hug
Honestly,
and talk.
I'm making myself tear up thinking about what my perfect after credit scene for this would be. It's actually just Stanley saying Excelsior.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's the fucking one right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that right there, I'd be like, I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Just because you go through the whole movie, like, where the fuck was he? You get to the end, and that's it, and you're just like, oh, you sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Now we're all crying. We can't leave.
All right. Well, cheers to 11 years of the MCU. Endgame's
Cheers.
right around the corner.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody in the audience, for being a part of this amazing show. We've been wanting to do this show for so long. Like, all we want to
Yeah.
do is just geek out. Like, this
We've been
is-
talking about doing this for 2 weeks. James almost did it last week, and I was like, but that's 2 weeks away.
Yeah. So that's everything we have for the show this week. Until next week, post Endgame. We
Yeah.
will not spoil it. Tony, where
No.
can they find us?
You can find us on patreon.com/nerd. We need to add some more shit to that. That's my weekly reminder for the two of you to add some shit to that.
Oh, yeah.
We have facebook.com/nerd. Like, share with your friends. Twitter's @nerd. Info@thesillinerd.com is our email address if you want to type up some shit, whatever.
Yeah.
You want to go to our website, thesillinerd.com. There's a donate button. Twitch.tv live 7:30 Central Mondays. Yeah,
Ish,
there's a
that's
donate button
what-
on there
Yeah.
too if you want to do that one.
Yeah.
Goes there. Thank you all for all the subscribers that keep coming in to our chats and jumping in and joining with us.
Yeah, we appreciate the feedback while we're. While
yeah, no, we
we're,
love the. I
questions
love
are
the new
great.
format of being able to actually speak more with the audience. It's been great. That's I think all the places we have things.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
on Spotify.
Oh yeah, give us a rating and review. We haven't said that one in a long time.
All right. Until next week, adventurers, post Endgame. For Tony, this is James.
Poor James, this is Tony.
And I'm Hector.
Balance in all things.
I can't say the other part of it. Like this is making.
There's no other thing. That's it.
I forgot something very important.
What's that?
We are talking. We were talking about Endgame. No, I forgot to
guy
get Jenny.
named-
I forgot to get Jenny her food.
This guy,
Uh,
I'm pretty sure.
Right, so being new to the stream,
some kind of bot.
The
Y'all
form-
talk about that because I had to feed my dog.
Yeah.
So the format that we work in is that
Pretty sure that guy's a bot.
The first half is us talking about the current news topics for the week, and our end topic is a general discussion about whatever we pick.
Sometimes the news, sometimes not.
Yeah. So thank you all. Seriously, we appreciate it. I know we geeked out really hard this week, but it was a lot of fun.
And well deserved. Like the geeking
Right?
was warranted.
Right?
Is the word.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Night, internet.
If you click the live button, it'll go.